Hello, and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan Readthrough podcast. My name is Peter Bond, and I've read each book in the main series. However, my two co-hosts are reading the series for the first time. With me today is my friend and closest confidant, India Jones.
Hello, I go by Lady Envy now, but I'll go by India today, I guess.
And he's your favorite character who just died. It's Joshua Dean Baker.
What's up? I have broken your heart, and you'll never recover.
That's a bold name change, Inge, just so inspired by the ending of the book, then.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Guys, if I'm going to be honest, for quite a while, I don't imagine character faces. I just never have.
We've talked about this.
A lot of the time just imagine Lady Envy as India.
Is that true?
It just is a very good fit.
Exactly.
Mainly my image of Lady Envy is just like how trim and like her hair is and how stainless her clothes are, since I feel like that's always foregrounded in the description. It's like there's a beautiful white talaba and then blah blah blah, you know?
I just like Lady Envy seems like the type who would not hesitate to slap me across the face if I was getting a little too much, and most days I do think India would do that. So it really fits for her.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you seeing me.
Of course.
Today on the show, we're talking about the ending of Memories of Ice, chapters 21 through 25. And it's a bit
also known as just an emotional roller coaster that will break you.
It's a bit of a super show. We're not gonna lie. We could have talked about it maybe in 2 episodes, but we decided to do it in one big honkin' show. We put as many chapters in this bad boy as you can get, you know? So with that said, let's get it started, since I have a feeling I'm in no particular rush. I mean, there's so much to talk about, you know?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to take a refill of coffee like halfway through this.
Stretch the legs, you know? Maybe do a little downward dog.
PB, when'd you get into that Coke Zero game? I mean, Coke Zero is my main squeeze.
Well, honestly, I didn't want to drink a little coffee. It's pretty late at night, so I walked to the vending machine, and Coke Zero was calling my name and had some big wide eyes open, you know?
Incredible.
Alrighty. Here we go. Chapter 21. The armies are leaving Kapustan. Silver Fox consults with Paran about her mother, the Tlanai Mass, and they have an honest conversation about their past relationship. Itkovian too watches the armies trickle away from the city, and he encounters the painter Malazan. The painter and his frog travel with the Malazans and capture history. Itkovian will travel south to Lest with Caladan Brood, the Grey Swords, Gruntle, his soldiers, the Tiste Andii, and various others. The Malazan, the Barghast, and the Moranth are splitting off to travel to Seta. Whiskeyjack stops and briefly speaks with Itkovian, and then the two go separate ways. Quickben and Kruppa together discuss sorcery. In Kapustan, Cole and Morelio search temples in the city. Corporal Broach ambushes them, going after the Mime. The Knight of High House Death appears. The Knight guides them to the Temple of Hood, where he is to protect the Mime. The Knight only somewhat recalls his past, of fire and failing a child. Itkovian speaks with Gruntle about the tennis gallery and the armies ahead. Together he crosses the river with them on the way south. With the bridge burners, Picker and Blen speak at night, and Paran approaches and promotes Picker to lieutenant. Whiskeyjack then meets with Dujek, and they have a long conversation about the machinations of the Empire. They know about Calam's journey to Lycene and what she would reveal to him. Tashrin is a needed ally against the Daman, and intended to protect the bridge burners at Pale. Tashrin also had been grooming Tattersail to become master of the deck. Paran ended up with the title because of her death. They speak even more, and Whiskeyjack ends intending to retire, and outside the tent he meets Corlat. They speak of Silver Fox and the forces. Both armies know Lest and Seta to be empty. Paran and Quickben were sent ahead. Quickben sends word to the Trigal Trade Guild to go to 7 cities, that Fiddler's in trouble and needs help. Velbara then approaches and requests the Grey Swords take Anaster. Itkovian will embrace and take the man's suffering, and finally, Paran blesses the Destron. So the armies are preparing to march south, but before we see Paran and Silverfox kind of have a reflective conversation about a little bit about Silverfox and a little about the relationship. So what do you think you take away from the relationship these two characters had that started with Paran and Tattersail and then kind of was reborn, so to speak, in this book?
That was like such a great way to start the chapter. I loved it so much. It was just Silverfox was being she was being just nightmarish, and I love that Paran was like, you need to step back, because I think prior to the conversation about their relationship, she was being bitchy about them taking her mom. And she
a reasonable thing to
I mean,
have
for somebody who
about.
doesn't ever visit their mother, I mean, I guess yes, her intentions became clear in the end, but like I would have taken her mom too, honestly, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
So as she's kind of confronting him about it, it's just she's just not being the woman that he clearly thought that she was, because she's just so annoying. But anyway, I digress. I really loved that part. I think they both realized that their relationship was based more on like a build up in their minds, or more so in his mind. That you always romanticize someone that is gone, and for some weird reason that she came back in this form, and they both, I think, really wanted it to be something that was never going to happen. Like, it clearly died when she died. They don't know what ever was going to happen in that relationship. It was so new. So I really like that they finally had like an honest conversation about how they actually, and just the ending too. Yeah,
their relationship was also basically grounded in Paran being like, "What's up? I'm horny." Like, that was about it.
And that's the thing, though. Like, it's just so romanticized.
100%. And I think that's why, in addition to kind of having closure between these two characters in this scene, something I really appreciate about it is that, like, definitely for me, every time they would be like, oh, Paran and Tattersail, blah, 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 I was like, why are we trying to make this happen? They, like, barely had a relationship. This was, like, two scenes. I just, like, wasn't connecting to it. So, and then it was almost cathartic to have the characters recognize that, like, that maybe not as much was there as they thought.
Yeah.
It needed to happen. It needed to be said, because it really did make no sense. They're like, if anybody can bring Tattersail out of her, you can. And it was just like, but why?
Yeah.
Because of your brief tryst. Josh, with the soldiers, we meet the painter or Malazan and his talking frog. Well, what did you think of this painter and his brief appearance?
It is peak Erickson to 21 chapters into a book that has already featured a major siege. Also be like, and this is the painter that travels with us and is extraordinary. What's that? Oh, his talking frog friend? Don't worry about it. Like, I do want to worry about it, actually, Stephen. I have so many questions about this. So, am I to understand that every Malazan army just has a full-time painter whose job is to record their history?
I don't know. Maybe it's just Dujeks, but I mean, it's such a goofy scene, you know?
It is very good, though. I mean, I do very much enjoy it. And also, of course, in some ways, it feels like we're gonna get to it later, but there's like a beginning where, like, one of the beginning poems at one point, it mentions that, like, his painting's the only true representation of everything that happened. And I read that, and part of me was like, did we just need there to be a painter? And so Stephen, like, went back and was just like, fuck, Itkovian frog boy. You know, like, how does this come up?
Listen, I have no idea how he ended it. I just think it's almost a strange place to put, because I think it's a very meta moment, because it's like, he is there and he's having conversations. At one point, the frog is even like, I'm the audience, or says something crazy like that.
It's ridiculous.
Like, clearly, he is kind of writing about his experience as an artist, but why it's in this chapter in particular, I guess I couldn't tell you, but...
yeah, it was a choice.
And then we also, this is the first time the army properly splits up, and they never really reunite until the huge battle at the end of the book. Josh, what did you think about the decision to split the army like this?
Well, I will say, for the umpteenth time, that it was very hard to understand why I should care about this, because there's just such bad maps. And so I was like, I eventually figured out that, like, there were two, but I don't know. It just seemed like the worst choice, and in many, many, many ways is the direct reason why the ending of all the terrible things that happen at the end of the book happen. And it's like, their reasoning was, well, our armies can't get along. Well, I mean, they did this far, and it's been pretty good. I think we could just keep being along.
I do fully agree, and I think, especially, I'm sure we'll talk about later on, there needed to be some middle management intervention or something, or just interdepartment communication. I mean,
we'll definitely get to it when the fucking standard bearer comes up. But if there is one thing that this series has taught me so far, it's that the Malazans are too smart for their own good. Always they are too smart for their own good.
Yeah, they're like they're playing like 7D chess about everything.
They are full big brain meme, and everyone else is just like, but we could just go straight there. And Malazans are like, you don't understand, when the Navy gets here, and everyone's just like, stop, just march to this place and siege it.
So, in Capistan, Cole and Merle are bringing the Mybe in, and this is when we first are introduced to the Knight of High House Death, and we get some cryptic remarks about his past. Did you catch it? Did you put the pieces together?
I thought I did, but I don't want to be wrong and not know, and then be like, oh my god, it's Def this.
Just take a stab, Inge. Live your best life.
Okay. I thought it was the guy from the last book whose name starts with a B. That's all I remember. I don't know the name.
Yeah, it's Bowden is his name.
You see, I was going to say...
Wait.
I knew
Is that who... Wait. Is that who it was? Is that who the Knight of High House Death was?
I knew it.
Yes.
I did not
He failed
get
a
that.
child. He died in fire. We were all like, oh my god, I can't believe he died. He had such an uneventful death. And then he was like, they're like, he's definitely Malazan, but he's brown. He's like super bronze. And I was like, he was bronze.
Hold on. Where's my...
So,
big end.
What did you think about them introduction to this knight, and then the bringing to this Temple of High House Hood, and the start of kind of the setup of what will become for the Mybe?
I just want to let it be known that Josh has stepped away, I think, to grab
We're talking
his
about the
book,
Knight of... We're talking about the Knight of High House Death, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I have been beyond confused, because if you go... tricky, Erickson.
It's all happening live action.
So if you go to the appendix, like they have the fatigued, I don't know, the deck of dragons and all the people who are like important in it. If you go to High House Death, it shows King as Hood. Knight, it says once Dassem Ultor, who is a character that I vaguely know who that is, and I thought that meant like it is the man formerly known as Dassem Ultor. That is exactly how I interpreted it. And I was like, man, I barely have a grasp of who this guy is. India is like so, like, because India texted us and was just like, I totally know who this is. I love this. And I'm over here like, I barely know this guy at all. I'm so impressed with India. As it turns out, I just completely misunderstood everything.
The artist formerly known as Dassem Ultor. Christ. Dassem Ultor was once the first sword of the Empire. He was once the Knight of High House Death.
And I was confused because we've seen him unconscious in one of the houses, one of the houses of the Azath.
That was his daughter, Josh. Come on!
Oh, damn it. You're right.
That's funny.
I feel so dumb. So that was Bowden. That's really interesting. Okay.
But like classic Steve, why couldn't you just say it? Why couldn't it just be Bowden?
Well, because Bowden doesn't remember his name because reasons. Come on, India.
It's kind of like an Easter egg. I mean,
really
to be honest, I definitely didn't notice it the first time through. So like,
damn
it now.
Damn it,
guys! It's an honor and a privilege. So what was the question? I'm sorry, I just got...
Well, it was just any thoughts about that, or them showing up at the temple, or...
No, how the hell did he get there, though? But, yeah, no thoughts about that. That whole part was really confusing. Why were the Wrath priests there? How did they get there?
I think the Wrath priests show up later, actually.
In the temple that they go to.
Well, the thing is, like, most of these chapters open with the temple stuff, and, like, it kind of slowly progresses until, like, kind of it drawn into the climax at the end. But I think the priests show up in maybe, like, 23 or something.
Oh, Okay, well then, thoughts on that? Yeah, I mean, if I were them and a man came up to me who had no idea who he was, but was like, "No, you got to come with me, and you got to bring the lady," my sole purpose was to save her. I feel like I'd be a little more apprehensive.
Plus, you like can't let go of the swords. You're just holding them the whole time.
Yeah, what's up with that? Why does he have sword arms?
He doesn't have. I think he's just got like. I don't know, he just doesn't know what to do with his hands, you know?
Classic Bowden, am I right?
Classic Bowden. All right, finally, near the end of the chapter, Josh, there's this conversation between Paran gets promoted.
Just shut up.
Picker gets promoted, but then there's this.
I got it.
Okay.
I texted the group about this because I was the first one to start this chapter, and
weird brag.
I've never felt more betrayed by an author. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Because when you read a book, I believe that you go with the assumption that most of the time, characters know what they are talking about and aren't working off of assumptions and rumors. Or if they are working off assumptions and rumors, you then get a different point of view of someone who has all the answers, right? I have never been 3 books in and found out in the 21st chapter of the 3rd book that the glue that has been binding me together since chapter 2 of the 1st book has actually just been semen, not glue. Who knew? So
semen? Why'd you go with that?
I went with the only other sticky white
Just
substance I could quickly think of.
Holy
Anyway, like from the get-go, the only thing we know about the bridge burners is that they have been betrayed. That is just like the propulsion that is rocketing us through all of book 1 and most of the journey of the bridge burners in book 2 is why did this happen? And to find out that not only was this no grand scheme of betrayal, but honestly, it's the opposite. Many people were trying to keep them alive because they realized how important they are and how important Whiskeyjack is. And in fact, it was just a fucking accident, apparently. Like, how brutal is that to know that, like, just a random twist of fate is what has just launched us this whole great distance? Like, it's very good, but also it was very, like, I don't know, rocked my world.
And they do specifically speak about, too, how, like, Bellarden intervening and killing Tattersail was kind of the unforeseen spark of it all, in a way.
Yes. Yeah, the big reveal that Tattersail was being groomed to be the master of the deck, which I was like, first, this also confused me. Like, it really felt like when Paran discovered he was master of the deck, it really felt like most people were like, damn, there's a master of the deck. That's such a cool thing. But actually, like, Malazan knew about it and was trying to create one.
I don't know. Taishrin, I guess, has some mad knowledge, you know?
Sounds like it.
Inch, how did this big reveal come out that there's, like, you know, there's all these machinations with Taishrin's true purpose and that maybe the false Alar, because a lot of the Empire stuff is kind of unveiled, so to speak, here.
Not gonna lie, it's as if I didn't even read that. I have no idea what you're talking about, and I, like... It went right over my head. Like, that is not at all anything that I thought.
It was so densely written. Like, it's like a scene in the chapter where, like, Whiskeyjack is in the tent with Dewjack, and Dewjack just kind of reveals all this stuff. First off, another big reveal we didn't even mention is that we have been told several times that Whiskeyjack is, like, should be basically commander of all the armies. He's, like, the greatest ever. And, like, we keep being told that he's a sergeant as a punishment. But Dewjack's like, me and you both know you're only a sergeant, so that, and this is huge, we have the right people on the ground when Shadowthrone makes his move, which is like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Is that like a big, like, thing that's gonna happen, or that we think is gonna happen? And I don't know, it's just so many things were revealed, and it's kind of overwhelming, and I imagine on a second reread, you're like, yeah, this is the whole plot, this is the whole thing.
So you're telling me that nobody ever wanted to kill the bridge burners?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And that's the huge, like, what? That's, like, the whole premise we've been working on this whole time is that the bridge burners have been, like, being targeted.
And it was all an accident.
Here it is. Page 700 says they're talking about all this shit, right? And they're talking about, So basically, it's talking about how Dujek and Whiskeyjack are doing their best to keep the Empire afloat. Lysine is also doing her best, but they've been they keep running into problems. It says, so to keep Brood from destroying all of civilization, we sacrifice ourselves to challenge the crippled god, us, one damned weary army already decimated by one of Lysine's panics. I assumed the panic meant, like, them being, like, caved in. And then and Dujak's like, forgive her for her panics. And then he says, virtually wiping out the bridge burners at Pale. And then, because remember, Whiskeyjack in book 1 is like, we've been targeted, they're after us, all this stuff. And then Dujak's like, was an accident, and while you didn't know it at the time, you know it now. Tatian ordered them to remain in the tunnels because he seemed the safest. So they told them to stay in the tunnels because they thought during the attack on Pale that was the safest spot for the bridge burners. And then through, and just a random act of nature, the tunnels caved in, killed most of the bridge burners. And even here, it's like, yeah, Whiskeyjack, at the time you thought that you were being targeted. But apparently there's been an off-scene conversation where Whiskeyjack gets filled in and knows they've not been targeted, but we didn't get to see that till right now.
That is not clear from the reading. I am just going to say it.
It is not worded very black and white.
Okay, well, okay.
Yeah.
I will say,
changing.
I'm just going to be honest, it's like, it's tough because it almost makes me, I don't want to sound like I didn't understand it, but I almost feel like I just don't believe it, if that makes any sense. Do you know what I mean? And I almost feel like I just more believe the Gardens of the Moon account of it. And maybe that's just like me.
It's a conspiracy theory.
My problem with that, though,
I do. I feel like a full conspiracy theorist about it. I'm like, what do you mean the tunnels, it was the safe? I mean, it just feels like, I don't know.
It just happened to
But
cave.
it's also like with everything Lysine says in book 2 to Kalam, who like judges it to be true, it's like, I had a tough time justifying that what she's saying is true, but I believe that there was this huge conspiracy to just kill all of them at Pale. So that was weird for me then, was trying to be like, how can what she's saying be true when all the stuff we already know? And now we know that all that was false.
I do feel you. I don't think Lysine's lying at the end of Deadhouse Gate, so I do think...
Yeah, I think she's hiding things, because she's the Empress.
For sure. And then at the very end, Inge, Quick Ben sends help to Fiddler, and we kind of get the other half of what... because the Trigal Trade Guild jumps in at that crucial moment.
Yeah.
And then, I guess, Paran, Anaster is given over to the Grey Swords.
A seemingly inconsequential thing at this chapter.
At this point,
seriously. So, pretty much, they just made him like a shell. By taking away his pain, he had like nothing else to be made of, and thus was just like a body.
Which is pretty sad.
It is very sad.
Yes, but, for a good purpose.
I suppose. Alrighty, let's keep on moving.
It's a good moral question, though, real quick. Would you rather live in pain or just, not?
Hot damn.
Right?
Just be a shell of a person?
I don't know what I'd prefer. TBH. I'll let you know.
To be a hateful Anaster or to be nobody?
Yeah. It's more than a hateful. If somebody taking away your pain makes you nothing, I don't know, man. I don't know what I'd choose.
That's tough.
I guess I feel like I just would have to extrapolate it into some other scenarios, but that's not what the show's about, so.
It can be. It can be anything we want it to be.
All right, here we go.
Chapter 22. Tok sits, suffering, near Seerdomen and Septarch Ultentha. The Panions have prepared defenses with the great condors keeping prying Malazan eyes away. They have dug trenches in the woods west of the city, and the Tendascauri are diseased, blessed by Poleo. Tok remembers he is a Malazan, laughs and tries to taunt the Seer. The Seer responds by commanding him to be returned to the matron. However, a Seerdomen plans to bring him food and shelter. The Mekro city nears Coral, and Lady Envy speaks to the Lanas Tog about Tool and the Segula. Nearing Lest, Corlat speaks with the crone about being unable to see the Domain's preparation. Brood asks her of Moonspawn, but Corlat thinks of Whiskeyjack and her love for him. They then reach Lest, a long-conquered city with no signs of life in it. Itkovian rides near Gruntle in the caravan guard, despite military structure. They ride together and encounter Balshalan and Corbel Broach. In Hood's temple, the Night of Death prepares for the Maib. Cole and Murillo speak of Cole's past, Lady Simtal, and a hidden child. In her dreams, Maib wanders the waste, and the wolves are gone. So, Peter, am I correct in assuming that Cole's hidden child is going to be a player in the game eventually, or that we have potentially already met her and don't know it?
Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and just take a strong no comment. That feels like the safe choice to me. So
That feels safe. Okay. So India, how did you feel like, we've talked before about how you have very little experience aside of the Malazan series of these kind of large-scale battles. Did it help for you to kind of get a sort of overview of what the battlefield is going to look like from the Panion perspective before this all actually starts?
Not at all.
Okay, good. Yeah, that makes sense.
Meant nothing to me. Even like when they're in the tunnels and they're talking about the map that they find, nothing, not a thing. I'm just like, okay, got it. I just picture everything in real time. So like when they're fighting,
honestly, that's what the soldiers are doing. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I do. I've been told I have a soldier's mindset.
Yeah, I've saying it for years.
Josh, I like this part, and for the record, I love, it's a weird sentence to say, I love that the Tenniscalry get all diseased and fucked up. I just feel like that's such, I don't know, it's such a gross detail, and
it's also like, it's kind of believable, and it's a real efficient way to not talk about them.
Yeah, and like I find the coral that we find at the end of the book is such like a nightmare city. And it just very much contributes to that aesthetic, along with the giant condors, which are just so fucking metal.
Yeah,
you know?
It's pretty great. I think the most metal thing is that they aren't just condors. There's demons within them trying to escape, and sometimes you can see them bulging through the skin, and it's like, that's horrific.
It's truly wild shit. Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Pete?
Well, no, I mean, it's a pretty short chapter overall, right? I mean, I feel like this is a true setup chapter. We check on the Necro City a little, and then we kind of have, man, I feel so bad for Tok's body.
I was just thinking that, but I don't want to bring it up again.
Yeah, it's really hard to read those sections.
Yeah.
I was very glad when that one Seer Domain. Also, let me just say, I would say it's pretty interesting that the only people from the Panion Domain that we have met have been exclusively pure evil.
Mostly,
you know what I mean?
yeah, mostly.
Like no one we have met has really made me care about them as a people, and I think it's pretty good to see that, like, at the very least, there are some people who still have enough free will to know when their leader's doing something fucked up. It's just very strange to me, like, I'm assuming we're never going to talk about the Panion Domain later in this series, like...
Thank God.
What does it begin as? Does it begin as, like, a kind of chill, like, religious... Like what's the word for a religious-focused society?
Theocracy. They describe... They describe its spread, and they do describe it in a mostly religious way, and I think Is
the Jaghut Seer always the Seer, or does he take the place of an actual human who was like a chill guy for a while?
No, I'm under the impression he created it all. And I think they even account for it in that sequence where this specific Seer Domain, I think, is recounting the cat people. And he's like recounting how his family kind of came into it and how the religion spread across the south of Genabacchus.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Alrighty, it doesn't seem like we have much to say. Let's kick the ball forward. Chapter 23. The bridge burners near Seta. We meet the mages Blue Pearl, Shanks, and Toes. Paran speaks with Quickben, and Nancy reports to the captain about the vacant city of Seta. Twist joins them and speaks of the Barghast gods whom Paran has yet to acknowledge. Together, they speak of the past and the Tiste Andii. Whiskeyjack speaks with Artanthos, and then Dujak. The High Fist speaks of 7 cities and the adjunct Tavor, and they share a meal together. Riding with the Moranth, the bridgeburners land near Coral. Paran and Quickban examine a strange Tiste Andii corpse on the shoreline, his body killed by the Path of Sea, Roos. Quickben speculates about his death and the Tiste Andii. Paran visits the Deck of Holds and speaks with the Throne of Shadow about the Eater and the Drift of Ali. After he tries to find Anaman Rake, but rather finds himself in Dragnipur speaking to Draconis. He tells Draconis of Nightchill's plan, and the Elder God explains Dragnipur is unstable. Rake has not been feeding the sword enough, and the wagon might be pulled into chaos. Draconis speaks of the origins of the sword, and regrets making it. Paran finally returns to reality, waking up alongside Mallet and Quickben. Near Morak, Hetan complains and Kruppa speaks of darkness. Nearing Coral's Bay, Paran consults with the mages about their power, and Picker feels like Paran and Quickben are concealing secret plans. Itkovian speaks with Gruntle and Stony. They have become friends. They speak of past pain for each of them. They are approached by High Marshal Straw of the Mot Irregulars, who inquire about Brood's army and speak of irregular spies within the Malazan forces. And the Irregulars miss their table. Gruntle speaks of a forest near Coral, which they'll reach soon. On the river, Whiskeyjack speaks with Humble Trow about Hetan, the Mot Irregulars, and the Empire's goal. In Morak, Corlat wanders an abandoned city, thinking of leaving the Tiste Andii as long as Whiskeyjack lives. She thinks of Anaman Rake and what might become of the Tiste Andii and their greatest nemesis, despair. Caladan Brood and his allies unite with Whiskeyjack. The commanders bicker about missing Malazan forces and the missing Moonspawn. The alliance grows more tenuous as they march. They debate the speed of the pace they should take. Calor and Brood wishing to go slow, but Whiskeyjack and Corlat will go ahead. Gruntle and Itkovian camp together and wonder about the splitting armies, and meet more Mot Irregulars. One mentions Whiskeyjack apprenticed as a mason. 2 days out from Coral, rain slows the Malazan's approach. Corlat commands 12 Tiste Andii, and they think about the forces at play in the upcoming battle. Calor speaks with Caladan Brood. He has noticed Talani Mass traveling as mud towards Coral. They both think they've made a mistake and wish to rejoin Whiskeyjack, and Calor suggests he shall ride ahead and leaves the tent with a smile. Lady Envy reaches the shore 4 days from Coral. Paran and the Bridgeburners find tunnels dug by the Panion, and Spindle is commanded to rig them to collapse. Panion mages trail them, and a battle ensues between the mages. Fire spread out, and Panion forces fall into Malazan traps. Dujek and his army arrive by Black Moranth. It's at the start of this chapter that we are introduced to a lot of the mages of the Bridgeburners that we'll see later in the fight. And then we also, Paran and Quickben encounter the strange Tiste Eater corpse, and then Paran goes and uses his Master of the Deck powers to go speak with the Throne of Shadow, and then speak with Draconis. They also find kind of a weird Tiste Eater corpse. So what did you make of all of this kind of mystery and this introduction to these new characters?
I like the new characters. Toes was my favorite. I thought that was the most horrifying, disgusting thing I've ever heard. But beyond that, the finding of that Tiste whatever body, you know it's going to be relevant. You don't know why, but there's really not much else to say about that part, I feel. I guess we'll learn about it in the next 6 books, probably. Other than that... Oh, and then Paran using his little power thing. It's very cute that he's getting comfortable using his little deck power with his little card thing, drawing little pictures and going places. But if there's any... Josh, do you have anything to say about that part? Or can we just... I really need someone to understand... someone to explain to me what happens when that man is like, oh, he's not killing enough people, so chaos. You can't just use the word chaos and expect me to understand what it means. What is chaos? In every time. Oh, we're ascending into chaos. Oh, but this is also chaos. Oh, this is in chaos. Chaos is the word. Okay.
The best I can do.
And if I hear the word warring, Josh, I'm ending it.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. Let me rethink this approach. So the best I have is that Kroll, the Elder God, okay? The Warrens are his veins. Whatever the fuck that means.
Right.
Okay? That's as much as I got for that.
Totally understandable.
And the Warrens inside of him are natural. As far as I gather, chaos is the power of the crippled god, who is not of this world and was brought down in a ritual countless years ago. And so the power of chaos is like what he brought, right? Like like him shifting things around. Peter's looking like that's wrong. That's as much as I got, dude. We're 3 books in. Who fucking knows? Whatever it is, there is the power of chaos. I believe Dragnipur, no, Draconis. It sounds like he thought he needed his, god damn it, Mother Dark, Corald Ghislaine. Mother Dark, Corald Ghislaine. Nonsense words. I'm just saying nonsense words, but you know what I'm talking about. So, Mother Dark, Corald Ghislaine, the power of darkness. Draconis wanted to keep it away from chaos. At the time, when he was younger, he was only countless years old instead of double countless years old. He thought, I need to constantly pull darkness away from chaos. And so he was like, well, to do that, I literally need to pull it, and I need to anchor it somewhere. So he has anchored darkness in this giant carriage inside of the sword, and it's being dragged constantly away from the power of the power, air quotations, of chaos. I guess. But now he says that Corald Ghislaine kind of moves on its own and would never be caught by chaos because of its migration pattern. But listen, India, that is as close as I got with it. And now now he thinks that he has imprisoned these souls for nothing, and he could have let the natural order go, and Corald Ghislaine would not have been captured at any point by chaos or called up to by chaos.
So then why is he saying then we need more souls to pull the cart?
He's saying you have 2 options. Keep pulling the cart, because I have stripped Corald Ghislaine of its ability to migrate by anchoring it here. So it either needs to be unanchored and allowed to roam freely, or it needs to just keep being pulled faster. So that's the options. Either they can destroy the sword, or Anaster needs to kill more people.
Got it. Peter.
And that is the extent of what I have.
That makes some sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of that's all right. I don't need to go and
I'm sure there's a lot that's wrong, but I only read this book once, and that section was
I guess I'll just say the way I think about chaos is that
or is chaos like the fraying at the edge of words?
I'm sick of the word. Is what I know.
That's more what I think about, because Kroll crafted the Warrens.
Yes, and but the question is, but chaos is the power that the crippled god uses to infect the Warrens, is the power of chaos.
Yeah, I think he's using it. But
it's not his own power.
Yeah, I don't think he created it or anything.
Okay, well, India, who knows what chaos is, just that it's being used.
Awesome.
Listen, I thought this sequence was interesting to return to this, seeing Draconis again, but what I really wanted to speak about was the Tiste Eater stuff.
I'll right there, because India already said it, and I'll say it again. Don't know, not important yet. Eventually, will be important.
I just want to say
the Tiste Eater are who we've heard have been they went to the same place as the Logros, the ones that what's her fucking face is from, the Talon with the swords through her body.
Lannis Tog.
Yeah, it does. Aren't they in the place the Tiste Eater went to?
No, they're in 2 different places.
Well, who knows? But the Tiste Eater were with the Moranth, right?
No.
Yes, the Tiste Eater were with the Moranth talk about how there were Tiste Eater with them for so long, and then they just kind of left.
I forget what you're talking about, or I think you're talking about the Tiste Eater with war with the Barghast. Listen, here was my point, all right? All I wanted to say is this section stood out to me more on the reread, because obviously I know more about the Tiste Eater, and I just want to say, this is where Steve's being a real pervert. I mean, listen to this. Where this new Emperor of the Eater, this Tyrant of Pain, this Deliverer of Midnight Tides...
Yeah, Midnight Tides, I was like, fuck off.
Here we are in the middle of this book, and he's sitting here teasing the 5th book and all that junk. Man, what a wild guy. The audacity of this kid.
All right, let's not get bogged down in it because two of our hosts don't know what any of this means yet. So
let's keep on moving. I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on. All right. So Josh, later on, we meet the Mot Irregulars more formally.
Let's go, best characters ever.
And they're kind of this lumberjack-esque crew, and they're kind of... what you make of them? What do you make of them?
I make of them... You know how, like, the people that you expect the least of are the ones most able to surprise you? You know, and when your expectations are low, like, it's easier to be like, oh, that is the definition of the Mot Irregulars.
Sure.
Everything about them is like, I'm an idiot. Until they do something that is genius. Or just so stupid that it works, and you don't know which one it is. Maybe both.
I agree. Just so stupid it works.
Yeah, you know, like, oh, look over there! Punches guy in the jaw, steals a bunch of dung. And I don't know.
There's gonna be some really good bark.
There's just so much about them that I love. That's about all I got. They're very funny. I could read a whole book that is just them in the woods doing stuff.
Yeah.
It's very good.
They're a fun, weird addition to the ending.
Yeah.
India, afterwards we find there's this scene where Corlat is kind of wandering this abandoned city, and she kind of thinks about a life she could have with Whiskeyjack, and then also thinks about the Tiste Andii and their lives grappling with despair. What did you make of this section?
I'm really depressed. I don't even want to talk about her. But I think in that moment, did she also realize that it would never work, or was that a different moment?
I think she's thinking about his mortality is like kind of what she's focused on. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it was a cute idea. Love her for it. Would also love to spend the rest of my life with someone that I loved. However, you know, she's made for other things. She's like, how many thousands of years old is this woman? Like, granted, I don't understand anything about their lives being for despair. It appears everyone's life is just full of despair. But, you know, she has responsibilities. She has kin to take care of. They call them kin. I don't know why. Are they really family? I don't know. But I just feel like it was a pipe dream. Something to make her feel better, to lessen the despair, to have this hot young mortal man to live with until he dies, and then she has to go back to what? Despair? Well.
Damn.
And in that moment, I think she also is like, is Anamander Rake dead? If he is, I gotta be in control. I don't know if that's when she says that. But
I think she thinks about later on, but I know she does. Maybe it's now. Honestly, it all kind of blurs.
Yeah, well, can we just put it all together? Regardless, it appears that she has other responsibilities to take care of, and she knows, you know, I'd love to be with this guy forever, but unless he can be with me forever because I have shit to do, I can't just be hanging around in a cabin. And you know what? Feminism.
Hell yeah.
Can
I double back to something that I missed out on?
Please, we're playing fast and loose. We are skipping at some stuff, you know. Apologies.
I want to pop back and talk about the mages we get introduced to.
Oh sure, and you mentioned a few of them. Yeah,
and I do want to say one of my more persistent critiques of these first three books is that how big are the bridge burners? Because they are at once. We have Schrodinger's bridge burners. They are as small as they need to be to seem inconsequential and fragile, and then as big as they need to be in order to have mages for a pivotal scene. Do you know what I mean? We have been only seeing Paran and his people, and like that has been the extent. Like, first,
there's always been more than Paran's squad.
But I've asked about this, and like where are they? Wait, like Whiskeyjack is the leader of the bridge burners, and he takes his small select group. That's fine, great. But like, where are all of these bridge burners all of the time? And then all of a sudden, finally, they are all here, and it's just like, all right, now we got 7 mages, and it's like we could have used 7 mages so many times in these first 3 books. Like it just felt a little, I don't know. I did not feel like
so convenient.
it felt really convenient to say that they lose all of their people over and over again. We're told that there's almost no one left. I almost feel like in Gardens, it's like insinuated that the ones we see are all that's left, basically. But
no, I think they even say there's like 40 of them or something. They have a number.
Okay, if they're gonna be here and they need to be important, I do not enjoy in the final 3 chapters naming 7 people who are absolutely critical to the success of something that have just not been existing the whole time. It just feels a little bit much.
We'll definitely agree it's a late introduction, so
yes.
we're on the same page about that.
Yeah.
So this is then again the forces have reunite only to split again.
Stop.
Okay.
We've missed the most important fact in this entire series.
There's so much going on in these chapters,
I'm
Josh.
sorry,
Cut me a break.
I've got to pull back. Kruppa fucks.
Kruppa does fuck.
It is objectively written in this section of the book that Kruppa not only fucks, which in itself, the thought of that is just kind of sickening, but he fucks. Like, also, maybe he got Hitan pregnant? I mean, probably that probably is just a joke her dad made, but I was just like, what are we doing here?
Okay, well, I don't know why you would assume it was Kruppa that made it, but like, yeah, Krupp def fucks, that's for sure.
Yeah. I don't know, I just feel like that was the last person she talked about fucking several times.
I just feel like Peter just told us that, like, there is a baby and it's not his.
Okay, that's not what I said. All I'm saying is...
It kind of sounds like it's not Krupp's baby.
He can't even look at us.
Hetton is a sexually independent woman, and I just think, Josh I felt like not portraying that, so...
I mean, in context, it really feels like it's Kruppa's.
All I'm saying.
Anyway, yes. I'm glad we stopped the show for it, Josh.
I just had to talk about it.
It's important stuff, man.
The army splits up again, and they all kind of go their different ways, and then Halbrand and Calor stay back, and then Calor's like, well, I'm actually going to go catch up with them, and he kind of leaves with a smile.
Some bullshit. Honestly, I don't even read this kind of stuff, and even I knew that was bullshit.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, what, he was like, oh, he's had a change of heart now? Yeah, you should go get them, yeah.
As soon as he leaves, stupid? I was like, I was so mad. I was so mad at Halbrand, who is like all the time confident until the one moment you need him to not be a fucking idiot.
Aren't you supposed to be smart? Don't you know this bullshit already?
You immortal asshole. All right, go stop Calor.
Ooh. He's like, no, yeah, you go ahead. Yeah. It's like, was he like preoccupied and he like wasn't thinking about it? And he was like, no, this sounds like a sound plan. Like he definitely is really like sorry about it. Fool. Fucking fool.
It's also mentioned in this section, Josh, that Whiskeyjack apprenticed as a mason. Any big takeaways from that?
Oh, yeah. Actually, he's going to be the mason of High House Shadow. Oh, I didn't catch that till just now. Thank you.
Well, interesting.
Well, in the first book, we talk about how one of the houses needs a mason. And it's like really hinted out that it's going to be someone we know. And I think it's High House Shadow that needs a mason. Could be High House Death. I think it's High House Shadow, though. Huh. I didn't catch that. Thank you.
So, Ange, at the very end, we see this is the first, there's this tunnel, we're introduced to these tunnels, and they take the tunnels only to have this second battle later on. How did you find, Ange, this is our first scrape with the Panion forces, with the mages and these tunnels?
Well, they needed a small win, so they got a nice little taste of success in the beginning where they were like, oh, maybe this isn't going to be so hard after all.
Yeah.
Not sure what they did. It seemed as if somebody drowned from the inside and then there was fire. I don't know what their little plan was. All I know is that it seemed successful. They did kill a lot of people. But that even that whole part, I was like, I got to ask Peter and Josh what they did here because it just seems like water and then it also seems like fire and explosions. And he was like, someone was like, I have an idea. And they were like, he has an idea. And they were like, is it going to work? And he was like, yeah, it's going to work. And then boom, bam, bah, bah, dead. And I was just like, okay.
I think you pretty much got it with that, so.
Honestly, yeah. I have to say, this was like the dumbest move by the bridge burners, it felt like.
Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It just, like, this section brought up, like, a lot of logistical questions for me. So, like, they go into the tunnels, right? And they have a pretty quick time getting in the tunnels. What is preventing them from leaving the tunnels? So, like their problem is we don't want to be found, right? Like, wouldn't you think it would be more important that they not be seen than it would be for them to, like, do some incremental damage? Like, it didn't make sense to me that they were like, why not just run away and not have the enemy know you're there? Because they lose their whole element of surprise with this one engagement. Like, this leads to the next chapter and, like, the preemptive battle where they get pretty damaged. And it didn't make any sense to me. Like,
that battle in the Hilltop's a pretty bad one. And then,
it goes bad for them. And I really think it comes down to this moment where they send, like, all of the bridge burners in instead of, like, 1 or 2 people. And, like, if 1 or 2 people do the scouting, then they are prepared to wait for the actual army that's supposed to be coming. And then, before the Panions sally out with their 5,000 people, hit them with Dujek's 6,000 people. Like, that just seems like solid strategy.
I bet they're wishing they had you on their side now, Josh.
It just, I don't know. And then, like, they blew it up. Like, there's no worse way to be sneaky than to blow the goddamn thing up.
Now, what did they blow up? Because, again, geography is not anything for me here.
So basically, India, the Panions' plan was, okay, so you imagine there's a city. That's Coral. In front of Coral, there is a pretty big plain, okay? Plains are naturally bad for people who are sieging because they can be shot from the walls the entire time, and it's pretty bad, right? So basically, they probably are going to have to just do one big assault. To basically, if the city's in front of you, right, and there's a plain between you and the city. Imagine that. To the left of the plain is woods, and they had built really disguised trenches that they could fit a big force. And so once the sieging army was engaged and their flanks were open, that force would come from the woods and slam their unprotected rear, and then they would be caught between the wall and this new army. That was the Panions' plan. Dujek and Whiskeyjack, go ahead. Question?
How did you even know that?
I play a lot of war games on my computer.
Okay.
Yes. Dujek and Whiskeyjack's plan was, there's probably going to be something fishy, let's get there early, sniff it out. And then I thought would wait, but they were like, I've sniffed, gotta get in there.
Once you pop, you can't stop.
Once you pop, you can't stop.
Understood.
All right, let's get into it. Let's keep it going. Chapter 24. In Hood's temple, Wrath's Shadow Throne, Tog, and Fanderay join them. Murillo and Cole observe the preparations and the cot that lies within a burial pit, where the priest wants to put the mime. Outside of Coral, near 30,000 Panion soldiers face Dujek's entrenchment. Picker debates what the Seer could be up to. Quickben speaks with the mages and then Paran and Dujek. They're going to send out Quickben, but are worried for his safety. They send guards with him and have lined the trenches with munitions. Picker watches as Quickben engages with the Panion with illusory demons and a Seer Daman with a black ensorcelled axe that explodes into a wraith. However, the Panions spread out and surround the Malazans. Battle engulfs the Hilltop, with Quickben returning to Paran with shadowy sorcery. Enemy soldiers and sorcery descend on the hill, and the Malazans return with sharpers and crossbows. A condor strikes from above with great gray fire. Quickben as Paran draw a condor, and then the mages strike down the beast with a makeshift card. Quickben protects the two from a Seer Daman, and Paran rushes a condor. Paran is wounded, sees the shape of a hound, and Quickben takes the captain to a healer. Picker sees the landslide that Quickben caused and notices that the other condors left the hilltop and wondered where they went. Paran wakes up, healed by Mallet, and goes to find Dujek. Enemy soldiers haven't reached the fist. The Panions have retreated, and they suspect it is because Whiskeyjack must be drawing close. Dujek cannot communicate with the others, but plans to march with the Malazans into the city. The Moranth will take Paran and the bridge burners as close to the keep as they can get. Before sunset, Corlat and Calor briefly speak about tactics. Orphantal will take his soul-taken form for the battle ahead. The Moranth fly the bridge burners in and see much of the city strangely vacant. Picker has brought hooks and ropes, and they plan to ascend the keep, condors waiting for them at the top. In the city below, Picker notices Kachain Chamal traveling towards Dujek forces. Picker and her squad go to try and distract them in the streets. Paran and the other bridge burners travel to the roof through Crawled Ghislaine and in a battle defeat the demons with the use of Spindle's sorcery. They start to head to a parapet overlooking the harbor. In the distance, Condors battle with the Moranth. Near Coral, the first sword of the Talani Mass arrives and announces himself. Dujek and his soldiers are in Coral streets and battle has erupted. The Moranth battle the Condors and legions of Panion are coming towards them. As the last of his soldiers arrive, Dujek changes his plans to find defensible buildings within the city walls. Picker's squad battles a Kachain Chamal, but it's a brutal fight. Another appears as they began to run. Tool appears and cuts the beast down. Tool starts towards the keep and Picker and the others follow. On the outskirts of the city, Whiskeyjack's forces arrive. Orphantal will defend Dujak's soldier from the sky. Brood is half a day away. The Grey Sword's closer than that. Silverfox then approaches the commander, and Corlat is suddenly attacked by Calor. The High King rushes forward towards Silverfox, who calls for the Talon Eye, but there is no response. Whiskeyjack then steps into Calor's path and parries him, but his knee gives way. Calor thrusts his sword through the man, and Whiskeyjack dies. Calor is struck down by crossbows, and he is healed by the crippled god and pulled into a mysterious warren. In the aftermath, Corlat is weak, and Silverfox accuses Artanthios of not revealing himself as Taishrin earlier. Itkovian marches alongside Gruntel's forces, and they near Coral. And Itkovian nears the Talani Mass and feels a great sorrow. Gruntel is being filled with Trake's murderous intent, but many come to watch, including Silverfox, as Itkovian will embrace the Talani Mass. So, Ange, this is a lot of these chapters open again and again with this My Temple stuff. So before we get to the really ending dream sequence where maybe it becomes clear with what she is supposed to do in this dream, did you have really any sense of what we were doing in this temple with these priests and the Night of High House Death? And
No, I thought that, I don't know, I just thought that they were going to, bury her and just be like, it's better this way. And they just had to be like, oh, okay. Or use her for some unknown purpose. I had no idea. That was like the whole Mybe, everything about her was just so abstract. Like nothing made sense.
I would say of the 3 books so far, this is the one storyline that start to finish I did not know what was going to happen. It just never felt like I was given enough to know where it would go next.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is fine. That's fine. I just it's the only one that I felt that way about.
Interesting. I do agree with Inge in that, it's very, especially in the end with her dream realm and how she's there, it is very...
And it's is it real? Is it not? She's showing, scars from it. Yeah. It was just so strange. And it's very dreamy, honestly.
It is very much so, yeah.
Or nightmare-y.
And the thing is, I don't really need to understand it, to be honest. I mean, I'm fine with being somewhat confused. I feel like I went on an emotional journey with her, so, the rules of this dream realm are unimportant to me, you know?
Yeah. Her story is my favorite one so far, honestly.
All right, Inge, then we follow it up and we go to this hilltop where this huge battle breaks out. This is, the first... all the soldiers descend on the hilltop. The Condors come. They defeat some of the Condors. They defeat some of the soldiers. And eventually, Paran wakes up. But a huge battle erupts. What do you think about the first, kind of true battle here in Coral?
So I just want to start out by saying I actually am a fan. This question is more... usually I would be like, oh my god, that was so boring. I hated this. It was so stupid. But it was actually really...
It's a great India impression.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
She's been working on it for her whole fucking life.
My whole life. It was interesting. It gave me anxiety. I loved it. At first, I only thought that those, there were only, 2 or 3 of those birds. And then it's no, there's dozens. And then it was and then the Kachain Kalala came out. And I was like, oh, how many of those? And they're at least 800. And I was like, oh my God. So it was a lot of anxiety. I loved it. I thought it was interesting. It was well done from what I can, it was well done for Ind. But I'll turn this over more so, I think, to Josh, who would probably have
Josh seems like he's chomping at the bit.
Take.
Well, Indy got thrown 2 questions in a row. I'm not feeling the love over here.
I felt like you felt like you had popped off about the Hilltop, but like, please continue, my man.
Oh no, I'm just playing. What did we talk? We're talking about the Hilltop battle, yes?
Yeah, and
the only thing I care about from the Hilltop battle is that Paran can become a Hound of Shadow, I guess, or something.
I thought he took it out.
No, he killed a condor by enveloping himself in like Shadow Hound magic and like ripped the condor's throat out.
I did not know that. I thought that the hound came out of nowhere.
No. Well, Quick Ben said it's as if a hound came out of nowhere, but then it's wrapped around, Paran or whatever. And it's like completely out of left field. We did not know Paran had it in him. So I was very excited. Anytime someone gets wrapped in magic that makes them an animal, Josh is a hype guy. Although Paran does get his whole goddamn face shredded and then just doesn't care about it, which is pretty hard.
I love this whole Hilltop battle. I just love the giant condors, and I think having this, I don't know, it's just very, and then the landslide that Quick Ben causes, it's just very vivid in my mind, I
want to talk about something. First off, I was going to say this for later. I did not know in chapter 1 that Picker would be this super important character that gives us a lot of great point of views throughout this whole book. But she does. But anyway, Picker, I found it really interesting that we know that Quick Ben is an absolute badass, right? We've seen many things. But I found it interesting that even someone like Picker, who's been in the squad for quite a while, flat out is does not believe Quick Ben is actually super strong in combat and that has only survived so long by hiding in the shadows behind Whiskeyjack, is how he puts it. I think it's Picker. It might be Blend. I can't remember exactly who says it. But someone in the squad says that right before this battle. And I love that Quick Ben is flat out hold my ale, whatever, beer.
Quick Ben's MVP of this
Quick
part.
Ben is probably the strongest mage we have met so far, maybe barring Taishrin. Yeah, but he goes the fuck off on this battle.
No, yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I agree. It's great to see him pop off
He's a bad bitch.
I also seeing him pop off when we aren't his POV, because there's the difference, right? When we are watching him,
definitely,
in the Corbel Brooch house do his thing, it's kind of what's happening before it does. But when you're just some lieutenant in the bridge burners and you're and then the whole goddamn mountain crumbled, you're just that's very cool. Very into it. Thank you.
But was it really all just him or his little Talamanders?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Talamanders is definitely helping him, but I don't know. When Quickman first off, he makes a wraith, and they're just oh, it's okay, the Panion won't believe it, they'll be fine. And then 4 of their mages get just ripped to shreds by this wraith. I was this is peak fantasy.
Yeah. Okay, so then the battle continues, and the Moranth fly them into the city, and they're gonna climb the keep, and the K'chain Chamale are traveling throughout the vacant city, which I find to be a particularly nightmarish image, and I just, I don't know, I just find the whole setting to be so vivid in my mind of this kind of bleak, rainy city, and there's all these forces, and then the streets are filled with these raptor monsters, do you know what I mean? And there's this great keep with the condors. I don't know, it's just so, it's such great imagery in my head.
Going through this whole section, in my mind, all of the buildings in the city are too tall and stretched. That's how my because everything is just so dark and creepy that I just made even the buildings creepy, when in reality I'm sure it's just a normal city.
I agree. All the buildings are Gothic in my head, so
yes. Yeah, spires everywhere.
Yeah, exclusively.
But this whole part, they are not in the city. They are outside of the city, correct?
On the hilltop, they're outside of the city, but we're now when the Moranth bring them into the city.
Yeah, and they kind of see everyone, and then they kind of split up as Paran's going to climb through, and Picker's going to descend into the streets with her squad to deal with the K'chain Chamal.
When they're in a different spot, and Picker will be go tell Dujek this to someone.
Sure.
My thought is how do they find him in all of this chaos? How do they find anyone?
Well, later on they don't. It's like pure luck that Dujak's like even saved. Like he like catches like hangs out with people.
I agree. I think a lot of the times they don't find someone, which as I was like, I think, and they even talk about like, so they go in the city, right? Because like, they're like, well, they're retreating. Whiskeyjack might just must be here. Let's pop off. I'm assuming this, you know?
Yeah, right. They have such little information before they just go into the city.
Which just feels like, you know, there is just not the inter-army communication that needs to be going on. You know, it's quite frustrating in some ways.
And Pickering blames herself, and then Paran's like, no, it's my fault. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Where you at?
All right, so the Picker squad, and she's battling these Kachain Chamal, and then Tool shows up, because we had this, he was announced himself south of the city, and then they kind of follow him for a bit. What did you think about Tool kind of saving the day in a way?
Oh my God. I love Tool so much. He just seems like such like a bony teddy bear. It's also very lethal. At what point does he leave though to go save his boy? He shows up, saves them, and then they're like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to the keep. I got my own thing. And they're just like, I guess we're following him. He's on a war path. Yeah. Well, it is true though. The safest place for them to be was, you know, on his coattails, whatever they said, I don't know. But those Kachain blah, blah, blah things, they're like so lethal, but then and
there's so many of them. Like,
I know.
Like it is revealed there's like over 1,000 of them at this point. It's gotta be, right? Like,
yeah, a ton.
Okay, is the matron hatching them?
Yeah. From my understanding.
Although,
actually, no, maybe she isn't. I do know there's something about like how there's no males to impregnate her or something. I do know there's a limit on it. To be honest, I'm unclear because a lot of them are undead, right? Because a lot of them are resurrected.
Oh, right. Okay.
Which just makes them all the more like horrifying and disgusting.
Mm-hmm. For sure. All right. So at the end of this chapter,
I'm gonna pop in here. I would like to say,
both of you, anyone of you can take it, but we come to Calor's betrayal and the death of Whiskeyjack.
On Tuesday, April 14th at 5:57 p.m., I texted Peter and I said, I'm not saying in the group chat, but I swear to God, the buildup over the standard bearer is ridiculous, and I'm just waiting for him to either betray everyone or do something incredible. It's killing me. And fuck Calor, he's def about to betray Whiskeyjack and probably kill Corlat. I texted that literally the page before it happened because I was just like, it's gonna happen any moment, and I have to let him know that I know it's gonna happen, and it's driving me crazy. So called it. Fuck Artanthos. Fuck Tayshrin.
Yeah.
Fuck
Was that supposed to be like a big surprise?
I think the surprise. Which part? The Calor or the Artanthos?
The Artanthos.
I think the surprise was going to be who it was. It has been super heavy hinted that he is not just a standard bearer.
It's been hinted at, and as like you could assume, if you went back, you would be like, oh, it was.
You know who didn't get any of those hints? Me.
Yeah. Yeah.
The biggest hit. Here's the biggest hit. India, you ready? He is listed in the index of characters very high up, I think, and is just written a standard bearer. And I was like, you don't get to be just a standard bearer and get. What
is a standard bearer?
He holds the flag.
Yeah.
Oh. That doesn't sound like that's what that is.
Everything about this sequence was infuriating in that, like, it's so easy for Josh Baker, this third party who's seen all these POVs, to know this is coming, and it's hard to like reconcile that with like what all the characters know, because I feel like there's no reason this should have happened just based on like common sense. But like, you know, Corlat and Whiskeyjack don't know that Calor saw the Talani mask moving past him, and that's why he went. You know, like they don't get to know that he knows Silver Fox is coming, and that's why he's there. They don't get to know he made a deal with the fucking chained god, you know? And it's very tough, because it's like, I do know that. How dare you not see this coming?
Yeah.
You idiots.
That also, was so sick depressing. That Whiskeyjack is a good enough swordsman to fucking, like, would have killed him if not for 3 books of, it's just a knee, it'll heal eventually. I'm Whiskeyjack.
Yeah.
Man.
Infuriating.
Yeah, and how did Whiskeyjack's death hit you?
Man, I was so mad and sad. Oh, God, that was so fucked. It was it was so fucked. Fucking, oh my God. Silver Fox, man. In your 3 hours of life, you couldn't learn how to defend yourself?
Seriously, right? You're
what
that
were you doing?
useless?
The summoner. Well, I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I was pissed. I was hurt. I was sad. And then the other, like, we can't even ignore those two people that were with her.
The two Marines that helped. Yes.
The Marines.
They don't even get named. That's the most brutal part of this book, is those two do not get named the entire fucking book.
And it's just like those two Marines, and it's just, oh my God. And no, and then her, oh my God, but then her Talon A were like,
She flat out got told at one point, though, like someone, I can't remember who, was just like, hey, the Talon A aren't gonna fucking help you then. Like, bummer, bye.
I know, they were like, no, bitch, not today, we're pissed. Anyway, that was just a horrible scene. I was so pissed. I was so sad, especially because like the bone had to go through his leg, which was like, why did you have to tell me that? Ow, first of all. And then it was like, he was so ready for it. He was going to do it. He like put his leg out. He was going to get him. And then nope. You're
also,
dead.
Hey, Whiskeyjack. We live in a land with magical healing. At some point, you can take a couple days to let your bone fucking set after being magically healed to full. Like,
I know. Like, what were you doing when you were just sitting around?
They've been traveling for weeks. Just sit in a carriage.
Sit on the carriage for a little bit? You didn't have time for that in your 5-day trek?
In this essay, I will explain how Whiskeyjack is the dumbest motherfucker I've ever read about.
But boy, was he brave.
I think it's interesting to speak about Silver Fox here, and the chapter kind of ends in some way when Itkovian comes towards the Talani Mass, and Silver Fox is distraught about it. How Silver Fox in this last section is a very sad and alone character, you know? Like, she's kind of like burned all of her bridges in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Would you call her a bridge burner?
No.
Oh, Josh, that was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, if the shoe fits, bud.
No.
You walked into it. PB.
I did. But what I mean, I just think it's interesting that, like, you're speaking about the Marines, you're speaking about the Talani, and then even the Talani Mass, she's kind of lost touch. She, like, in this moment, she even loses them in a way, you know? And it's just so interesting to see her have everything stripped away from her. And in the first half of the book, it's so much about her power and kind of her, like, embodiment of it. I just think it's such an interesting turn for her character to take in the second half of the book.
I want to say, I think it really fits that, like, a big part of her personality is Tattersail the Malazan, because, like, I feel like many of these problems stem from the Malazan mindset of, I know what I'm doing. I don't need to explain it all to you. That will just get in the way. You know, you only need to know as much as I decide you need to know. Like, if at any point, because at the end we see she has these grand ambitions. If at any point she had shared those, so many things in this whole book would have been averted.
Like, loop a motherfucker
like the worst
in.
Part.
Yeah. I mean, same thing. I mean, we wouldn't lose. Also, first off, almost none of this would happen if all Malazans would stop being like, I'm the smartest in the room. Constantly.
All right, I've got a plan. We're going to pretend... all right, anyway.
Yeah, we get it.
We get it. Also, this is when Itkovian arrives with his forces, but I guess we can speak a little bit more about that later on. So, here's the deal. With the last chapter here, it is so long that I decided we're not going to summarize it, but rather we're kind of just going to talk through it point by point. And if some things slip by, apologies, yo.
Hopefully you read it too and you already know.
Yeah.
I would really hope so.
But listen, we're still going to talk through most of it. We just aren't going to read a whole summary, So, AJ, drop a quick beat for chapter 25.
Oh, here, I got it. Just loop that, AJ. You got it.
No, it needs to be something you can check that ass to,
Oh, give me some, Pete.
Okay, here we go. All right, so at the start of this, we see we just talked about the Silver Fox and the Mai, but this is the first time Itkovian starts to take on some of the memories of the Talani Mass, and they start, and this is the first time we have a sequences of him kind of having those long italicized texts. Josh, what'd you make of that?
Very hard to figure it all out, being honest.
Yeah.
I will say it was like, I have been wondering what Itkovian would be doing for the rest of this book. You know what I mean? Like, because he's wondering the whole time, like, what's my new purpose?
Sure.
And I didn't see this. I did not see this as what he would be doing. And but it felt like a very natural conclusion to his sort of storyline in this book, and in a lot of ways to the Talani Massa storyline.
Yeah.
Can we all just agree, though, that it was not the best time?
No, def not the best time. I mean, there was a whole army of ravenous undead Kachin Shamal that can only be defeated by the Talani Mass. So not a good time at all.
There's no time like the present, baby. You know?
Yeah.
So I feel like Itkovian get in there like swimwear. I got a hard disagree.
Are
Okay.
you kidding?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, no. I was furious.
Yeah, not a good... Well, and also, him doing that directly led to Silver Fox dying. Not dying, sorry, Whiskeyjack dying.
Well,
because, Silver Fox Silver Fox could have been like, Talani Mass to me, and they would have come, and instead of having to call the Talani, but the Talani Mass are too busy kneeling before their new god.
I think that happens after Whiskeyjack dies, though. So I think you're wrong about that.
Oh, I could be. Very possible.
All
Either
right.
way, there was a lot of that could have been spared if they just, waited fucking 15 minutes. Like, no, we'll come back to do our, like, little memory thing. We'll come back for it, but, like, let's just go kill these guys really quick.
We'll let go of our eternal grief, but, like, give me, like, 10 minutes.
Let me just get a little more beforehand.
All right, in the dreamscape, it is kind of revealed to the Mime that Silver Fox crafted it, and we learn more about the origin of it. So what did you learn? How did you feel about kind of learning more about maybe the start of this weird world that the Mime has found herself in?
Really glad you asked that. I was thinking about last night what I wanted to say, and I constructed actually something that I wanted to say already about this part. So, do you guys watch Westworld?
No.
I watched the first 2 seasons.
Great. Is this Westworld? How do you just create different worlds? How does that work? What does that mean? What is a realm? Are they in a different world now? Can anybody go to that world? How is that world allowed? Is it a dream? Is it not? And then they're like, Burn? Is Burn one of these? And then someone says something funny, call them really, and they're like, how many old ladies do you have sleeping in here?
Yeah,
it's very good line.
On the way out, that's like their closing joke. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It was, but actually, like, what is any of are they in a dream? Is anybody, are we all just, what? Like, what? How do you just do that? And how did she even know how to do that? Let's start there. Was it Kruppa?
It was a very bold move to just, like, to do all of this for, like, these, like, however long the story has been, they've been working on this idea. I don't know, it was a lot.
Because, like, I know that she obviously had said, like, oh, no, I'm doing something for her. You guys just don't know. Like, shut up. You don't know what you've done when they took her.
Well, actually, hold on real quick. Did this world already in some way exist? Because are we not in the beast hold?
And she said that she stole it.
So maybe she's just kind of found, because even Paran says that he stumbled across. So India, High House Shadow, we have been to there's a castle, right? That is their world. There's a castle in it with Shadowthrone. It happens in book 1, Quick Ben visits.
Yes.
In book 1, Paran kind of sees some stuff with Hood, right? So I guess at this point, we should know that Warrens have a physical manifestation. Oh, and in book 2, Shadowthrone takes in Kalam and that girl and lets them just kind of chill there with all the kids, right? So I guess we should know that Holds and Warrens can have a physical manifestation. So maybe...
But, like, how do they change your physical body?
Don't know yet.
Because didn't she turn young in there?
She is young. I mean, I guess in those worlds you could probably just be whatever you wanted to, if I had to guess.
Well, that must be really nice. That must be really freaking nice.
Yeah. Is that right, Peter? Like, is she just kind of, like, co-opting the Beast Thrones and the Beast Hold and kind of, like, forming it to kind of work better? The Rivi spirits are there, too, which I guess...
I do think she's in the Beast Hold. However, why she's young... I couldn't put my exact finger on besides a vague magic.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like.
Because magic.
I feel like this is such an outlandish scenario that the fact that there's even any explanation of anything happening is pretty impressive.
I'm very happy, though, about it.
Oh, it's a good ending for her.
I do agree. It's on the fringe, but I appreciate, and I know we'll talk about later, but I do appreciate the Mai finds peace in the end, you know.
But it's so sad, though, because, you know, all this time, Silver Fox, like, it just doesn't, like, I just can't get past, like, she had these good intentions, and it's so sad that she did burn these bridges, but she really didn't. Like, she really didn't mean to. She just, like, was like, no, just, if you just waited a little bit.
Again, too smart for her own good. Like, let people in.
I agree, but I also don't think her bridge burning was unintentional. I mean, I think at the second gathering, she made her intentions pretty clear, you know?
But she also, okay,
But she
regretted how she said it, but she definitely from the get-go knew that she was only going to take them for a little bit of time. Do you know what I mean?
And then was going to
why
put
not
them
tell
in there. But also,
just
like,
borrowing them. All right, in the city, Tool comes in and calls Talk brother and frees him.
My heart.
My soul. Oh my God.
Me too. I love these brothers, boys.
Literally, they are brothers. They are freaking brothers, man. And it's just beautiful.
Anyone else have anything to say just besides pure love for our brothers?
No, they're great.
They're our brothers. You're right. They are all of our brothers. We're all brothers.
Then outside the keep, Picker and some of the bridge burners are battling, and this is when Hedge dies and explodes near and kills a chain Chamal.
Is he a Barghast?
No, that's Trots.
Trots is the Barghast.
Thank you.
Hedge, Trots, and Mallet, I think, are the 3 first book people that are not like the big players, but are like, you know, our rider dies.
Yeah, they're the background soldiers, and yeah.
I was pretty beat up that Hedge. I mean, because like we don't see much of Hedge, but he's been there and like he's been really reliable. And of course, like it's such a sapper way to go to like fucking throw this bomb at the ground and kill an undead Kashane Shamal in this blaze of glory.
Yeah, I was definitely more sad about the Trot's death, which comes later on.
Oh,
but
yeah, that one was
rough. Me too.
So, we also see a kind of battle raging with Duzek in the streets, and then we also see Gruntle and his soldiers make a tiger. So what do we think about these various armies fighting throughout the city? Josh?
I'll take the tiger, and if India wants to take Duzek, I want to take the tiger. What an incredibly inefficient method of fighting.
What do you mean, Josh?
Well, as we saw in Kapistan, they can all just become super powerful fighters. But no, let's become one big unwieldy tiger that every time someone so much as fucking nicks us, dudes get slaughtered. Like, I mean, now listen, pure badass. Such a cool idea. And you can't even see their bodies in it until they get slashed and fall out dead, which is pretty rough. It just felt like not the greatest choice, you know? When you're fighting ultra-fast undead creatures that feel no pain, and you're like, let me give you this big target. Like, I don't know.
I'm just going to fully disagree. Tigers are cool, and I like
Tigers are cool. I can agree with that.
Yeah. I enjoy the Duzek part of this city because I think, and I don't know, I just think him being kind of trapped in a way is very exciting, and it's also interesting to see him in battle since usually he's just so removed from it all. You know?
Yeah, and we don't see him fight though, right? We like come to him and his whole guard's been slaughtered, right?
Yeah, and then he like laments their death.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Outside of the city, we find Corlat, who is very sad and watching some of the battles go off, and also sees her brother in his soul-taken form, and she veers into her own soul-taken form to join him.
Yeah, he's getting a little fucked up. So it only makes sense for her to turn off her emotions and turn into a dragon and go and help him out, which she does. And I think that's probably very cathartic and healthy. So I'm glad that she took that journey. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I like her as a dragon. I think that she's fun and badass and eats condors.
It's tough because I feel like I shouldn't like the turning into dragons as much as I do, because honestly, it just feels like really low-hanging fruit in some way. But like turning into dragon is cool, and you're just not going to talk me out of it, you know? So
I agree.
That's my official stance.
I hard appreciated that. And I just think it's so cute that she's like, oh my God, I got to go get my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Really, he just kept tugging on the heartstrings. The familial, just, oh my gosh, it was just it's a tough ending, but it's so good.
Josh, inside, we briefly touch in with Caladan Brood, who's getting closer to the city, but we also find Picker, who is now following Lady Envy and Baljag.
I think my favorite part of this entire book might be all of the inside the keep stuff with Picker. It is start to finish just gripping. Like, you can't stop. I could not stop reading that section. Just like, they are outnumbered, they have no supplies, they are all weak humans or a Barghast versus, like, they fought Kashain Shamal and now they're fighting heavily armored Seerdamen. Like, it is incredible. And the moment where the Seerdamen pop up from behind and Lady Envy goes, oh, is this going to be an issue? And Picker goes, not for long. Just that, like, fatalist humor is just heartbreaking. Because, like, she's not trying to be funny. That is Picker being like, and this is it. Everyone I know and love dies, as do I. And it is heartbreaking. I mean,
when
Lady
you
Envy
read
does...
that,
Yes.
did you read it that way?
Yes, I knew it meant that they were going to get murdered.
I was on Lady Envy's mindset of like, oh, they piece of cake.
No, I think I was one with Picker at that moment.
Interesting. I feel I'm more with Inge on that one, but I'm glad you had that.
No, they were so beaten and broken, and Deterin just got slashed in half, and Trotz has 1 million wounds. Like, of course they're not going to win against...
Picker, are you a moron? Because
Yeah.
you see that that Lady Envy is here, and you've seen what like a snap of her finger does, and you couldn't be like, no, back up. Can you help us out? It's so clear that Lady Envy is in this, and she's like so bored. Like, she like doesn't even she's not even like understand.
But I think that's why Picker doesn't say anything. I think Picker is like, I don't know if this woman gives two shits about me, so like I'm gonna try and fight. I don't really know
I'd
if I
rather
can
not
trust
ask
her
at all and kill everyone.
I
Good
think in that
thought
moment,
process, Picker.
I think in that moment, because they have a split second to think about that. I think in that moment it's about as much as she could to just like do one quip and then go to her death.
I think, and I do think, Inge, you're right in that Lady Envy comes off as like completely detached and almost like she's missing social cues about what's going on in the situation.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's so incredible.
And Josh, you're right. This is right now when Deterin dies and they're kind of fight these Seer Damen.
I think Mallet has popped back in. I think we're down to what? It's like Picker and Blend, and I think Blend is knocked unconscious. I think it's Picker,
think she
Blend,
knows where
Mallet,
Blend is in that moment. They have to go get Blend.
They have to find her at some point, yeah. Oh, we missed the whole reveal that Blend is, like, literally been the world's greatest scout because she got some magic stone, I guess. But
then I thought that he said she doesn't even realize it's been within her the whole time.
Yeah,
that's
the
what it sounds like.
isn't magic, it's like a placebo.
She just believes it enough that she's invisible, and he's like, holy shit, she needs to be a mage. Like, that's pretty good.
I agree, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I love Blend. She's cute. They're all cute.
Mm-hmm.
And then they die. But not Blend.
I agree. It is a particularly terrible battle, and within it all. And I think it's clear in this time we kind of followed Spindle and her squad throughout it, because like they serve a really different function than Paran and his point of view. Do you mean? Because in this battle and through so much of the book, Paran is so much more commander now, where like Spindle really kind of becomes our soldiers in a way, you know?
Yeah. I forgot about Spindle. Does he live? No. I think Spindle dies, right?
I meant Picker. I said Spindle.
Okay, yeah.
I think Spindle does die.
I think Spindle does die, which is a bummer. He's got his fucking mom's hair shirt.
I can't recall if Spindle dies. I don't think he does.
Well, I'm trying to think about the end when he's like looking when they're in the
tavern. I'm looking. I've learned how to use the wiki very carefully.
Listen, I have a list, so I can...
Spindle lives. Oh, Spindle's the one that gets knocked unconscious, I bet. I think he might be the one that gets...
Yeah, Spindle does live. Yeah, I see him in the epilogue here.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the top of the keep, Talk
Spindle's looking for the helmet. Spindle's looking for the helmet the whole time. That's right.
All right, you lost. I'm sorry. I'm just... At the top of the keep... Tok like impales himself and frees the wolf spirit of Tog, and like there's this huge god howl, like the whole world kind of takes a beat, So
I just realized like how much more we have to get through because I'm like putting this in perspective of the chapter, and I'm like, holy shit, there's so much of this chapter.
I know, right? So, Inge, what did you think of Tak freeing this ancient wolf god spirit that's in him?
Just reading like I could gag the effort that it took for him to like get up, and he's like, and my nub, which was once a foot, I was like, yo, this is gnarly. Brutal. So, but it was really I was happy when the wolf got out. I feel bad for the wolf. I mean, you know, he's like living in a rib cage, whatever. I don't know what it was. I really don't know where he was living, just like inside there. Sad. It was just good to get him out. I'm happy that he got out.
I've been wondering for like the last few chapters because like I would say something that I've appreciated so far about Erikson is that like no one is needlessly put through trauma in this book very much. Do you know what I mean? Like occasionally it does happen, but like this whole time I've been like like something has to happen from Tak. Like he has to emerge from this. And I was also really hopeful that he didn't continue living in this broken fucking body. So I was very happy to see he just destroyed himself.
Yeah.
But when he died, I thought that he died.
Well, he did die, but we'll get there.
Like, I didn't think that I'd be seeing him again.
I was hopeful I would, but I didn't know. I was very much like, it would be good. It would be fantasy all right if this guy came back. Like, that would be acceptable.
And can we just close out the whole wolf section, or should we just keep going in order? Because like the wolf went into the world where Silver Fox made, because that's his.
Yes.
That's his.
And that's Lady Envy, the Bonecaster, the Panther lady who comes in, lets
Banderay,
whichever one of the dogs with the most fucked up names ever, whichever one of them. Yeah, great. That she lets that one in, and I was just like, the whole time I was just like, I mean, are they gonna stay separated again? That seems really bad. I was very happy that she's just like, let me just open up the warren that they're going to. Bloop bloop bloop. Here you go. That was nice.
That was nice of her. That was who let the dogs out.
Who.
So Paran's on the roof, and he sees Moonspawn emerge from the bay, bringing both Rain and Corald Ghislaine to the city. Inge, what'd you think about the moon being in the ocean here and emerging thus?
What the fuck? First of all, why now? Why are you coming out now? Where were you 5 hours ago? Where were you a day ago? Where is Anamander Rig? Because he doesn't come out until literally it's all over, and he's like, hey guys.
Yeah, I have some questions too about this one.
That was bullshit.
He was commanding Moonspawn. He's the one who...
Why did it take him so... Was he like, yeah, I hear it, but like, we'll wait. Let's wait. Is it because it's dying and it's like, no, like, what?
Here's my question, Peter.
Honestly, my working theory is that he waited for the most dramatic moment, which is a very Anamander Ring thing to do in my mind.
I have a quick follow-up question. So, at what point is it revealed that water is anti-magic? Because apparently, he can just be underwater forever, and that's all it takes for Corlat and Crone to be like, okay, find him. He's gone forever.
He's hidden in the ocean.
That doesn't stop thought magic waves,
so
Peter.
Shitty for that.
Unless it does. Unless you're telling me that oceans stop magic telepathy bullshit.
I know. I can just tell you what I read, Josh. I don't have any. What do you want me to do to you?
I'm putting Steve on the hot seat.
Yeah. How does the ocean stop Corlat and Crone from sensing him? That, like, what?
Like, Corlat's like, everyone's resolved at this point that like he's dead, or just like was like, yeah, no, I'm not taking part in this. Or they were like, yeah, he'll be here. He's gonna come. And
I do want to say, very, very good that there's a giant storm, and everyone's like, he's gonna fly out from the storm. Anamander race in the storm, and then it's just like, nah, bitch, I'm in the ocean.
No, I'm underwater. How did I get here?
I've been here the whole time.
It was. I mean, I just feel like you make like a plan for a reason. You know, like you come together, you're all like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And then, no, not at all in this book. In fact, everyone had a different plan. And you know what? Maybe had they worked together a little more, they wouldn't all be dead and mourning now. So...
Agreed.
There's my take.
Sorry, AJ, there's a lot of claps, a lot of peaks right there.
Speaking of deaths, inside the keep, Trots dies as the bridge burners continue to take a toll.
He had his moment. It's fine. Let's go.
I'd say I would say the various bridge burner deaths, Trots is easily the one I am most sad about.
Is he the one that smiled and then died?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that
was very
that was sad.
But
I
accept
what he looked like.
He's a Barghast. I have to say, Trots died for me 6 pages before he died. Do you know what I mean?
Like when he was mortally...
When he was mortally wounded and had killed 20 or 10 men on his own and scared off the other 10, that's when I was like, R.I.P. Trots, okay.
And let me just throw out this hot take. I care much more about Trot's death than Whiskeyjack's death. So I'm just...
Whoa, I'm just going to ask you to leave the conversation now, Peter.
Yeah.
That was offensive.
Boy, I hope you have enjoyed 10 Very Big Books. We'll never be back. We cannot recover from this.
I stand by it.
Peter's jaded.
I find Trot's very charismatic, and that's just something I've never thought about Whiskeyjack, and that's just something we can leave it there.
Whiskeyjack makes all the friends, Peter. He makes all the friends. He makes friends with people who don't even have friends. What do you mean he's not charismatic? How dare you?
Yeah, what the fuck, Peter?
Okay. I don't need to pop off, especially on the day of Whiskeyjack's death, but I will defend my point, All right, in the keep, this is when Atul meets up with his sister Kalava, and we kind of learn more about what Kalava's here and her specific grudge and how she's going to come find the Seer and everything. India, what did you think about kind of having these siblings meet in this moment like this?
You know what? They have a rivalry that they just need to get over in that moment. And it's just at every turn, it's like, well, I'm doing this. And he's like, well, I'm doing this. And she's like, well, you should do this. And he's like, well, you should come find me when you're done doing that. And it's like, fine. They're just it's just a very sibling, I don't know, they just seem, it's very in a sibling way relatable, where you're just on two different paths. Obviously, maybe I'm not going to kill someone and my sister's going to go into a little weird world, but it's just, they just keep missing each other. There's just these constant, you go your way, I'll go my way. But they always find their way back. So I think that's really sweet.
Yeah. I feel a little bummed because not bummed, I guess. I just feel like Kalava hasn't earned me caring about her that much yet for her entrance here to be pivotal in any way.
I really love
her actions after this, huge. But till now, I'm kind of very lukewarm on her.
I actually did forget her whole purpose until the end. What she even was doing.
Same. I completely forgot that it was her at the beginning and all that shit.
Me too.
It's not really revealed. I mean, and especially since in the prologue, it's not like you would read it and be like, Kalava. Oh, those Tulans. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because we don't meet her. We don't meet her till she talks with Lady Envy, right? She talks with Lady Envy at some point.
Yeah,
but doesn't she talk about it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it never hits me in a way.
Yeah, no, I know, I agree, but I don't know. The siblings get me, man. What can I say?
On the roof, Paran's up there, and then Kalava shows up, and she's gonna ambush them, and then but Moonspawn crashes in to the keep. Josh, what did you think about this decision to ram Moonspawn into them?
Again, I mean, Rake's flair for the dramatic is second to none. And what does he mean by Moonspawn's dying? Do you know what I mean? And here's, you know what? Let me back this up. I had an old truck in high school, and do you know what I never thought to do? Just fucking crash it into a mountain. Crash it into something big and strong. I was never all right, baby, you got one more ride in you. Because that's exactly
We're going
what he
out
does.
in a blaze of glory.
He's just got Ride of the Valkyries just in the background, and but also, can I say, my favorite thing about this is nothing about Moonspawn is ever described as fast. So I just only imagine it just really slowly ba 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 ba, and a small pigeon is just passing it on the side, going way faster.
That's very funny.
I agree. That's actually so true. It slowly just slams into it. They could all move out of the way. No one does.
Yeah, it was definitely a choice. I don't know if it was good or bad, I guess. We'll find out maybe.
All right. In the streets, Gruntle is fighting with Stony, and then Corlat is helping clean up some of the remaining troops as kind of the battle is kind of turning the forces way. And along the Mot Irregulars are helping.
They're so funny.
Okay, I do want to pop in real quick and say this is the only moment in this book that I'm truly like, there's no reason.
Why are you here?
There's no reason for them to be here other than it is the funniest fucking thing that you are here in this moment.
I agree. They're like comic relief. I suppose you could cut them, but, I enjoy their presence.
Are they really dumb?
No, I think they're geniuses in their own way.
But do they really, talk like that?
Oh, yeah. 100% they talk like that.
I like, though, that they're
funny.
just like, where are the trees? I'm just...
We think we're going to leave because we're getting kind of bored, and when we're bored, bad things happen.
What's the Bull Brothers quote about them on the walls? Like, that's peak Mot Irregulars.
And then in the dreamscape, we find Silver Fox, Tok, and the Mybe. And this is when the Mybe agrees to let let Tok's spirit go, and it's kind of the ending scene for her and this last moment in the dream space. So I really enjoyed having this last moment of peace with her, and I just think it's such I don't know. I like her storyline so much. It's one of my favorites of the book. Josh, what'd you think about the ending of the Mybe story?
If you told me when I met her that this is how it would end, that it's such a incongruous path to this, and I kind of like that about it. Like, it makes no sense that we got here, but I'm very happy for this character who has done nothing wrong the entire book besides be really sad that she's very old and her daughter hates her. And so it was a very nice reward, I guess.
Yeah. Inge, what did you think about, and we also learn more about how it was kind of created in this way, and what's going on with Tok too. What'd you think about this ending for her?
Okay, so I have mixed feelings. Yes, I'm happy, whatever, that she's there. That's great. But I was really hoping, and I guess and I also want to I have so many questions around this. I was really hoping for some kind of reconciling between them, and that never comes.
I'm really bummed they haven't talked still.
And she even says oh my God, because I didn't know she was there, Peter, because I thought that she's can you guys bring Silver Fox here so I can talk to her? But that never happens.
She's on that. She's in that world at some point, talking with the Talani Mass, their spirits, I think. But she does not want to go speak with the Mybe yet.
Yeah, I think she speaks with the Rivi. I don't think she speaks with the Mybe.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
I wish she did, though.
But the Mybe does say that she wants her to bring her there. She wants to talk to her. I just feel bad in that way. But it's
I hope that she gets to see her eventually. I don't know. It's tough. Hey, actually, quick question though, Pete. Can I pop in with a quick question?
Yeah.
So, I think I answered in my own head, but. So the Mybe is not going to go through Hood's Gate because Silver Fox made a deal with Hood, yes? Right? And that's why the Night of Death is there, right? So is that the play? Okay. Now, is that...
Because they're in the Temple of Hood.
Is that hinting that if the Talani Mass make their final resting place that world, that they too aren't going to really die? Oh, second question. This is the big one. Disregard that one. The Talani Mass that we see here, is it really them or is it their memories? Because this world is created off their memories being rained down from Itkovian.
I think the people we see are, from what I understand, are supposed to be reflections of the memories that are now being harbored in this realm. Because this is it's going through Itkovian at this point.
So it's not the actual, Talani Mass never vanish, go into that world and come back. They're kind of still on the mortal plane, but they're
yeah, because at the end they're gonna,
they have to go do their thing.
Yeah.
Save their kin.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, speaking of which, we now come to Itkovian's death, and I have his great quote, which I will read in a second. But India, what did you think of this final scene for Itkovian, where he kind of takes on all of the suffering of the Talani Mass? We read all these memories of these various people, and then he dies.
I suppose that I should feel wow, but I don't.
How
I just feel sad.
You?
Yeah, no, I just am okay, that was sad, but he died. That, I mean, he was a great character, but I'm not super attached to the death. There, I said it. Sorry.
Wow, brutal.
Josh, what did you think?
In this specific part of the death of Itkovian, I thought it was really fitting that he just kind of dies, and as I think it's hinted that he just kind of goes through Hood's gate. He's just a dude.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like very Itkovian of him, you know? He never once treats himself as something more than just a man.
He's a very humble dude.
Yeah.
We humans do not understand compassion. In each moment of our lives, we betray it. We know of its worth, yet in knowing we then attach to it a value. We guard the giving of it, believing it must be earned. Compassion is priceless in the truest sense of the word. It must be given freely, in abundance.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's really nice.
It is really beautiful and somewhat a thesis, you know, for the series in a way. And I love the message. And I think, you know, Steve just wants everyone to love each other, you know, and like.
At the end of the day, Steve wrote that, kid. And
yes. Steve just wants us to like understand each other's pain. And like, that's, you know, very, you know, much love, you know, and I think I love this sequence, and reading all those memories again this time was very moving for me. I was particularly moved the first time I read it, and the second time through, I was not let down by this passage. So it was, I love my son Itkovian.
Yeah, he's wonderful. We're only talking about his actual death yet, not the memorial, right?
I mean, you can add to it if you want, Josh.
I cried openly at his memorial.
Tell me more.
I thought it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever read in my life. Just like this army of people just dropping off trinkets, like whatever they felt like they could give him. I just loved it. I thought it was incredible.
I'm glad you had that moment. I think you mentioned you cried twice during the ending.
I'll get to the second one. We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
This was the first time. And keep in mind, that was my allotment of tears for quite some time.
You were all worked up.
Yeah.
All right, so Inge, you mentioned earlier, Cole and Murillo have this final line about how many sleeping old women are there or something.
So good.
Loved it.
And this is kind of our last moment seeing them. What do you think about kind of touching in with them? And they kind of emerge into a different role here in the end, and then they kind of end out. So what do you think about seeing them?
I really like them. I think that they're such good guys. They're so sweet, and they really did care about what happened to the Mibe. And I don't know. I just think that I don't know what's next for them, honestly. But you know, it was nice for them to see them again after seeing like what happens to the Mibe. Do they know exactly where she went?
I think they have a vague idea at best, is my impression, which I think is kind of funny.
Well, you know, hope to see him again. That's all I got.
True.
All right. Josh.
They really did, avoid a whole war, though. They avoided a whole damn war.
They did, which, like, good on them, you know?
I know, right? Damn.
All right, Josh, to you. So this is when we come to Paran and assorted people come to mourn, where they're with the Seer, they're with Kalava, Quickben, Talamandus, and we unpack some of the Seer's trauma, we free the sibling, and like there's this whole climax. So what'd you think about kind of disarming the Seer, so to speak?
I thought it was really cool. I don't think a lot of most villains that get redemption get it through their death, and not many have to live long enough to earn it. And I thought it was really interesting that this character, who has been for a large part of this book just like irredeemably evil, is now being tasked to like live and change your ways truly and redeem yourself. I thought that was cool.
I was pissed. I wanted him to die so bad.
You wanted him to die, Ingia?
So bad, so bad. He deserved the worst of deaths. I was so pissed. That's when I texted you guys, and I was like, guys, I'm fucking livid. I was livid. Oh my god.
That is so incredible.
Take him down.
You want to be reunited with his sister, do you not have...
Take the sister out, put her with the foster, and kill the crazy brother.
Wow.
Raise her yourself.
Have a little compassion, Inge.
Literally? No.
Inge.
I was so mad. And then he had the nerve and sheer audacity to say to Kalava, I don't forgive you? You? who unknowingly, accidentally, and then didn't come back to get ya when she really didn't even need to try to save you to begin with, even though she failed miserably? I don't forgive. And then she was like, and I don't forgive you. And I was like, good. Say that back. Don't forgive him, psycho. Oh my God. So angry. Oh, livid.
I mean, what do you think, Josh, about Kalava's kind of inadvertently setting this all off in a way?
I mean, I guess it's fitting that she started it and then is the one to end it. I'm a little upset. Like, I think, like India's saying, like, I mean, it's been quite a while, Kalava. No other options? Couldn't think of anything else?
I think she just really probably, like, it's like, you know, when you...
I guess she was avoiding it, maybe?
You know, when you damn a child to eternal suffering and you just kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
Just something else came on my plate. I got a little busy.
I got too busy.
You have to go find your brother.
Afterwards, they go into Burns Warren, and, like, the Jagat use Amtos Philak to somewhat postpone Burns' damage.
Cool it down.
Cool down a little bit. I gotta say, I love that Paran is drawing doodles that are like magic doodles because of his card powers. I think it's so goofy in a way.
Yes,
yeah, I like
yes,
it too.
yes.
Quick Ben's like, hey, draw a picture of that. And he like scribbles down.
He does it really badly
Easy,
too.
no problem.
Like,
I exclusively imagine them as bad drawings, of course.
well, they say
Yeah,
the first time that it's like very crude, and he's still getting to the ground with a finger. Like, yeah, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah. Okay. I think outside of the city is when we kind of have Itkovian's funeral. Maybe not yet. I think
so.
The Imperial Enclave show up, and they're gonna there's gonna be this negotiation, including Animander Rake. Josh, what's your big sigh?
It's just stupid. All right. I don't care what the fuck this dude is who gets off a boat. I won't like him. He will never be my real dad, okay? Whiskeyjack is my real dad, and you're never gonna replace a man who steps off a ship from the Malazan Empire. Also, we can talk across goddamn oceans and negotiate a navy to land within an hour of a battle, but we can't talk 5 miles apart and be like, hey, wait. The whole army is like 6 hours away if you just don't attack, Dujek. Ugh.
I feel like, though, this is like real evidence towards Caladan Brood being 100% correct, and Cowler somewhat too. Because earlier in the book, they're like, well, if we just conquer the city, Malazan's just going to say it's their city and like expand their empire there. And like 100%, like the battle's barely over, and all of a sudden they're like, all right, this dude's governor.
Yeah.
this is our comptroller.
Real quick, I do want to say, I have a question, and Peter cannot answer it, and I know that, but that's fine. In book 1, India, I'm going to ask you this question. Did you feel like the Malazan Empire was evil?
Yes.
Do you feel less so now?
Yes.
It's very strange, because I feel like I'm gonna end up being on Team Malazan eventually, and I really think it's strange considering that like book 1 sets you up to immediately hate them.
I feel like because you like the bridge burners now.
Because you like the bridge burners, yeah. And now
yeah.
I feel like I'm slowly, and even Animander Rake, who literally starts the first book off by murdering all of the mages and like killing all these people at Pale. Even he's like, are they so bad? I mean, look, they bring order. They don't quash religion. You know, they just kind of make things a bit more uniform.
Make things better.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Is what he's saying.
But you know.
Yeah, imperialism is not great. We can all say that imperialism is bad in many, many ways. But maybe they're not the worst? I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed to think that way yet. Like, in 3 books, I could find out that actually they're the worst.
Why didn't we talk about that Finnist thing? Because, like, what is that and what is that?
The Finnist is... Okay,
we did kind of gloss over it.
Jaghuts can manifest their power or something with a Finnist. It's like, in the book 1, Race is looking for it. And if he gets... Remember that Aiko, if he gets it, he's, like, ultra powerful. And so I guess this Jaghut made his out of a Kishain Shema matron. So I guess there's no rules.
Egg.
Yeah, he made it into an egg. Yeah, it's an egg. I mean, interesting that that's what they're using. I hope it doesn't feel pain. Again, it really feels like we make some bold assumptions.
What doesn't feel pain?
They put the egg in the rift that has been causing that little girl untold pain for eons.
It's just an egg, you know?
Yeah, we hope, right?
Like, we don't know what's in the egg. It could just be an egg.
Okay. True.
All right, that's all I was wondering. I thought that, then what did they do with the dragon lady? What's her, she's not a dragon. Kachain Mama?
The matron. She gets crushed to death, doesn't she?
I think so.
Oh, it did fall on her.
She falls. She falls from the top of the keep and dies. That's right.
Once you two, next what happens, Tok wakes up in the body of Anaster. And how'd you two take this? What was your thoughts when this happened?
It made such sense as soon as I was done reading and processing it. Like, didn't think that was, yeah, right? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, oh okay, that's why, and then, oh okay, cool. But like, if you had asked me 4 chapters ago why it was important that Anaster was alive and empty as a shell, I wouldn't have been like, well, it's for Tok the Younger Spirit to swoop in after he sets the Tog free.
Obviously.
Clearly.
Yeah. Well, at first, like, I had, like, a dumb moment because Grendel, I think it starts with, like, Grendel being like, and that guy's the new mortal sword.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? They gave him, like, a title? I
knew Tok the Younger was going to be the mortal sword of Tog forever ago because they mentioned that he's to the south, and the only mortal we've met to the south that isn't a Segula is Tog, who has got some wolf shit going on. So I knew that, but as soon as his body got broken, for a bit, I thought he was going to get broken into the shape of a wolf, maybe, and he was just going to become a wolf man. I really wasn't sure. It makes more sense for his body. I guess, this is a sentence I'm about to say, I guess it makes more sense that instead of that, he kills himself, frees the soul of the wolf, and then gets his soul put back into the shell man.
And frees his own soul, really.
Yeah. That makes more sense than the alternative.
What?
Yeah, that was confusing at first, but then once it made sense, I was like, oh, thank God he's not dead.
I know. Tok the Younger has been on quite the journey.
Yeah, man, he should be messed up.
Also, is he going to tell people his name's not Anaster? Because Gruntle calls him Anaster like 7 times, but his internal monologue calls himself Tok, you know, like...
And then it's like Anaster dash Tok, like,
yeah,
to tell us...
I don't want him to be an Aster now. I want him to be Tok still.
Yeah, I know. What a nasty, like, ugh.
Also, what a hint early on when an Astra loses an eye. I guess that was the hint.
Can I just confess something to you?
Yes.
Please.
Anaster is one of the few characters in the series who I unquestionably imagine as hot. So that is just...
What?
Me too!
Oh, no. For me...
Oh, me too.
Don't
they say he's, like, extremely handsome?
As I have said, I almost never imagine what characters look like. But
neither do I, but for some reason, Anaster's, I don't know.
Anaster is a hot man with no face.
Okay. To me, he has, like, gray skin, you know, like, really pale. That's what I've always imagined.
But, like, in a hot way.
No. Not in a hot way.
But, like, a hot gray.
Yeah, hot gray.
All right. So Silver Fox then speaks with the Talani Mass, who are in a better mood since they have their memories, and they're all going to go together to go find their kin on the southern continent. Indy, what do you think of this ending for Silver Fox here?
You know what? The girl wanted a family, so go find your kin, girl. Go rescue them and then have no family when you set them all free.
I didn't think about that. It's kind of nice in a way. My only thought was, hello, book 5.
So Josh, we do touch in with Picker at the end as she kind of sees some of the fallen bridge burners, and then she also sees Lady Envy speak with Animander Rake. And this is where I'm going to read my second quote of the night, which I think is just an all-time great, I don't know, this is just the shit I am here for. Animander Rake finds Lady Envy and says, "Had I known you were within the keep, Lady Envy, I would have brought Moonspawn all the way down." Which is just some next level petty shit.
It's very good.
I love exes. I love good banter between exes, man.
Are they exes?
Yeah, they're exes.
They've gotta be. Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's very good.
And she calls him lover. It's just the best kind of toxic. I love it.
It's so funny that, I don't know, I just can't get over that the Son of Darkness is like a super warrior, but also just sitting around insecurely insulting his ex. Do you know what I mean?
It's very good.
And she's just, it's so, I loved that entire back and forth. It was incredible. And she's just so just like, ha ha ha, whatever. Like trying to be, oh my God, it was fantastic. I loved it.
I agree. Love it. Live for it. I'm here for
Agreed.
it.
I hope that it happens again.
Okay, so then, Josh, that's when we do the Itkovian, and Gruntle goes and leaves his Torques there, and he tells Treach that the god has to learn to live with loss, which I think is a great capstone for his character's journey, and kind of a renunciation of the type of pain that causes so much of the trouble throughout the books.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree. It's a very touching, just like everything about this. I mean, I cried terribly. So very good. I do want to say, I think Gruntle it's such a cool thing to have this mortal sword not give a fuck about his god.
Yeah.
Like, very good. And also being in respect of a man who cares everything for his god, even when his god almost does nothing for him in return. Like, it's very strange seeing those two characters be so bonded.
India, what did you think of Itkovian's funeral here, and Gruntle kind of laying down his name as Mortal Sword?
Yeah, that was... he got a really, really, like, elaborate death, which was nice. It's just an interest... It's just... Okay. Why was I just don't know why I wasn't as connected to the character as, like, everyone else was here. Because, like, you were so moved, Josh. Peter, he's your son. And I'm just like, that was sad. Like, that was my thought. I mean, that's how I felt.
It's fine. You don't need to... Yeah.
I just wonder, like, what did I miss?
I don't know. But, having a heart, compassion for other people, something like that. Yeah,
I'm probably just missing, like, that missing part, like, you know, that part that makes people compassionate. But that's fine. It was sad, though. It was really nice. I love Grundle and his little relationship that they built, and I didn't what do you mean laying down the mortal? I thought he has the title.
He gave up the Torques and kind of leaves them with Itkovian.
Oh, well, that's nice too, I guess. What are Torques?
They're like the
rings that Picker and Blend bought in the very first chapter, and they got tighter and tighter on her arm. Those things.
Oh.
Yeah.
When did she take those off?
She gives
Gruntle took them off for her.
Yeah, and she gives them to him after Capustan.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Really sweet of him. Loved it.
All right. Afterwards, Paran recounts some of the soldiers, and then he and Quickben go to Moonspawn, which is kind of being left out in the ocean after it's been destroyed. And it's kind of going to be this tomb, and together they see all the dead bridge burners.
This was the second time I cried.
Yeah? Tell me about it.
I just thought it was really... Everything about it was just, like, really beautiful to me, and just also just so tragic. Like, Paran and Quickben, in doing what is right for the entire world, like, they get cheated out of that moment that they're supposed to have, you know? Like, this guy meant so much to both of them, and they don't get to share that moment with everybody, and I felt really bad for them. And so it was definitely nice that they got their chance to go pay their respects. And also, I think the other reason I cried was that the Marines are literally put at the highest honor with Whiskeyjack. Like, these two unnamed people, we never learned their names, and they are treated with just as much respect because of their actions, not of anything else, you know?
Yeah.
It was really great. Oh, and then Quickben saying the name of everyone there. Oh my god, my heart was just fucking ripped out of my chest.
So sad. And Paran, I think, feels so much guilt even leaving, that like he couldn't be there with them, and that he would have rather die with them than be in the moment, be where he was, like, leaving in that moment, which was so sad.
I feel so bad for Paran, because the dude is undeniably doing his best and honestly doing pretty good, and he never lets himself feel that way. He always feels like he's a piece of shit and could be doing more. I feel so bad for him.
I wonder if there's therapists there.
I believe the two of you earlier in this book were telling him to get over his feelings and, like, bullying him about it. So
Peter, this is not the time.
This is different, Peter.
Peter, we are in mourning right now. This is not the time.
Please do not talk to us like that.
Okay. So, as our ending for Gruntle, he once again encounters Corporal Broach and Botchlin, and then he meets him and Stoney meet up with Tak and Anaster, and they kind of all share a drink together. India, what did you think about Gruntle's ending here?
I mean, it was fine, but, like, why them?
They're all just hanging out. What do you mean?
I don't know. I guess it was just, like, a fine ending then. Like, I don't have any, like, super positive thoughts or felt any super important way about it, honestly.
See, it's tough for me because I feel like Gruntle's story really ends when he like puts the torques in Itkovian's thing. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of almost like a button in a way. I don't know if you guys feel that way.
Like, it didn't really mean much. I would say this did not mean much to me. The moment with Tool meant way more to me with a talk Anaster than the Gruntlestani thing.
Yeah.
Me too. Oh my god, that was the best.
Which, by the way, so does Tool have a body, or did Kalava just give him a body for a moment, like the illusion of a body?
And he seems attractive.
In
that moment, I was like, Tool fucks so much.
Tool has a body. Yeah.
How does he get a body?
Do you know?
To be honest, no. But
because the rest of the Talani Mass don't, right?
No.
Then that makes no sense, and that's not fair.
Yeah.
No, listen, I am sure there's a reason, and I'm just like, it's like
Writing
going
it down
on.
For Steve.
Listen, someone tweeted us. I
mean,
it's just,
or in the Discord. Someone clear it up.
It's going on so late for me. I don't have it on my mind. I loved this moment. And I love that we see it from Tool's perspective and kind of just like a Talk's perspective, and he's so confused about it, and it's just this passing moment, and it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love it so much.
It was beautiful. It was so nice. Oh, I loved it.
We get our last
brother.
Before that, we actually had our last check-in with Paran in this chapter, and we hear about the bridge burners. What the Trigg Guild are doing, and then we also hear that the army is going to go. Duzek will take his army to 7 cities to reinforce Tavor.
Yeah.
And they give their farewells, as many of the Bridgeburners will go to Darujistan.
That was nice.
With their money, honey.
Yeah, and Duzek's just like, fuck off, leave, do not come back. Very, very forceful about that point, which was nice.
Yeah, but more importantly, Josh, what do you think about them going off to 7 cities as Duzek's army's next location?
I feel so bad for the like normal Malazan soldier. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've just traipsed across this whole goddamn continent, and now they're getting on a ship and going to a desert to fight a rebel desert army that is also led by a literal manifestation of a whirlwind. So, like, doesn't seem very fun, that's for sure.
And that was a savage army, too. They were wild.
Yeah, they fucking crucified an entire army. So...
And children.
Yeah, not fun. I feel kind of bad. And also, my other question is, like, at the end of book 2, like, Tavor has a big army. Like, Duzek's not got tons left. Are they going just to give some experience? Like, to give Duzek's, like, experience in command? Because if so, leave the rest of the Malazans here. Just send Duzek.
Interesting. Well, listen, I guess we'll find out now, won't we?
Yeah.
And then we keep checking in with our last people before the chapter ends. We see our last scene of Lady Envy as she heads south with the Segula. India, what do you think about saying goodbye to Lady Envy here?
I'm depressed. I love her. Is she taking... But she says that she's taking them home. Is she actually, or is she just taking them to her house?
Who knows?
What's home?
Yeah.
The Segula have a home for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But is it their home or is it her home? Like, where is she just... She's never letting them go. She has attachment issues.
I hadn't thought about that.
Okay.
I assumed I would see Lady Envy again. I did assume I wouldn't see the Segula again. But I guess you're right. Like, we could easily see her just, like, carry them, like, drag them along.
Oh, we didn't
She has no one else.
We didn't even mention the Segula when Mach battles, finally gets to duel Tool.
And is, like, definitely going to win and then gets panthered from the side.
Yeah.
I love when that happens.
And that just goes to say, I'm just like preemptively apologizing. I know we missed stuff in this.
I'm not gonna let it pass. We're back to Josh's corner. It's entitled "Josh lists every character who fucks." Hitan and Tool definitely fuck at the end because I guess so.
Yeah, this chapter ends with Hitan eyeing up Tool, and like that's the end of this part here,
which I actually think is useful for me because I wasn't positive that Tool had a real body and it wasn't a facade until this moment when I was like, I guess he has a full fucking flesh and bone body back. Flesh and bone, am I right, India?
Oh my god. Alrighty, let's briefly discuss the epilogue. I don't have a summary for it. Let's just tack it on. We're good.
Can't we just say like one thing, and it's that guy whose name I can't. Deuker.
Deuker's here. Very sad.
Let me. I got it. So Paran's in Darujhistan. He speaks briefly with Raist about the people in the Finnest house.
Oh yeah.
He leaves. Gives money
and
to
wait,
a weird
and those
beggar.
two people are Ralik Nam and the leader of the Assassin's Guild, right?
Yes, Vorkan.
Okay.
Leaves, gives money to a weird beggar, and then goes to the tavern that the bridge burners turned Kroll's Belfry into a tavern, where Imperial historian Deuker tells this story of the Coltane and the Crow clan. What you guys think of this small epilogue in Darujhistan?
I was so stressed with the weird beggar. I was waiting
We
for
all
him.
know who that weird beggar is. Don't be stressed.
I'm sorry, do we?
Yeah, it's the crippled god.
Yeah.
What? Oh, I did not get that.
He's like a coffin.
That is 2 for end. That is 2 for end.
I did not get that at all. I was waiting for the beggar to like pull out a dagger and just fucking shiv Paran. I was really stressed. I gotta reread that. That changes a lot. I'm gonna have to reread the epilogue after this.
No, it's definitely the crippled god.
Wow, that's cool.
He's out, man. He's no more the chained one.
Well, so there we go. That's the ending.
Well, why was Raist being so weird too?
What do you mean? I love
Raist is a weird dude.
I love that Raist is like a funny guy in this
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
But he was like so weird. Why was he wearing a helmet? Like, why was
He has a cat.
He's just trying to get used to his new life. He's got to get home. He's got to make it his home.
He's building a new life for himself.
Yeah.
All right, fine, whatever.
I will say, and I would love to hear your two thoughts, because I'm sure we'll do bigger picture thoughts on the wrap-up show. But I guess I've probably come to have some qualms with like the length of these books, or sometimes just how long we're spending doing things, you know? However, you know, an ending like this and this final chapter, I think is like such soaring and thrilling storytelling that like cannot be accomplished without like an incredible amount of runway up before it. I mean, the amount of things that go on in this finale and just how incredible it is to read about so much of the payoff of all these different storylines and these different types of catharsis that come from like Tool and then come from Talk and then come from Itkovian, and it just comes from all these different angles. And I don't know, it makes it feel like all that time is justified in a way. So I feel like in a book like this, I do feel like the ending is so redemptive in some way of all the work you put into it in a way. India, what did you think of the ending of Memories of Ice?
Okay, I'm going to say this one time and one time only. I loved this book. It was fantastic. I literally would like gasp and giggle at things like out loud. I'd be like, oh yeah, like really like feel like I was like truly enjoying reading this book. I read it all day yesterday, partially because I was also trying to watch Schitt's Creek at the same time, but I literally
great show.
Couldn't put it down. Like that ending, that chapter 25, although it was 4 hours on the audiobook, which I did not listen to, I read it. It was just it told a whole story in a chapter, and it was ridiculous. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Josh?
I mean, I was blown away by it. I would say probably the single best like ending sequence of a book I've ever read.
Agreed.
Like India said, like that. I mean, chapter 25 is a fucking novel in and of itself.
Fully agree. I mean, it's just
It is an achievement to have that many threads go through a book and neatly tie.
I
all
literally
of them.
tied up so perfectly at the end.
And like
it made
and
no sense.
I would say pretty much nothing felt unsatisfactory to me. Like it all felt like, yeah, this feels like how it would end. I like this.
Steve fucking sticks the landing here.
He does in a major way.
The only thing that made me sad, which I feel like was done on purpose though, but I want to ask, is like the whole ending with Silver Fox and her mom. But
I feel like Silver Fox just feels like she can't until it's all said and done. You know what I mean? Like she cannot talk to the Maib until she feels like she can like look her in the eyes and say, I think this was worth it now.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I would hope she starts with I'm sorry, but
All right,
So,
everybody.
yeah.
Well, we appreciate you sticking with us. I know it was a super long episode, but we wanted to kind of do something special for the end of this book. That being said, of course, we're not done with Memories of Ice yet. We'll have a mailbag and wrap-up show that'll come out soon. So make sure over the next 2 weeks you send in, what did you think of Memories of Ice? What did you think of the ending? We would just love to hear your thoughts about the book and any questions you have for us. We really love putting those mailbag shows together, and that'll be the next episode. And then throughout the weeks after it, we'll probably have some more special episodes on the way, and eventually we'll get to House of Chains. But honestly, there's nothing more to talk about now. It's so long. Send us some mail, and we'll talk to you in the next episode.
Hello everyone, producer AJ here, slowly but surely recovering from the ending of this incredible book. Like last episode, I have some thoughts and some moments I wanted to highlight, so let's just dive right in. There were probably several moments that the gang missed in this monster of an episode, but one thing I cannot let skirt by is when Gruntle and Itkovian are talking with Emancipa Reese in chapter 21, and he speaks with an incredible impediment that we discover was because he bit down too hard on an olive pit. This moment is just absolutely hysterical, but it also shows what kind of person Itkovian is. Gruntle at the end tells Itkovian that he expects Reese to be upset with Itkovian for telling Buckalane about the broken tooth. Quote, sometimes the cure is worse than the disease. And Itkovian just does not understand how helping someone could actually hurt. It just shows that Itkovian constantly sees the best in everyone, including these literal necromancers. I also just wanted to read that quote that Josh brought up in the final chapter, the Mot High Marshal speaking with Caladan Brood. Corlat watched the man salute and heard him say, High Marshal's stump, sir. Mot Irregulars. About that order. What order? Brood snapped. The man's smile revealed long white teeth. Never mind. We were there. You see, where? This side of the wall, east of the gate, sir, and there was mages up top. The Bull Brothers didn't like that, so they roughed him up some. Ain't none breathing anymore. Anyway, what do you want us to do now? Caladan Brood stared at the man, expressionless, and then shook his head. I have not a clue, High Marshal Stump. The man from Mott nodded. Well, we could put out some fires. Go to it, then. Yes, sir. Moments like that and the moments like the Emancipa Reese moment earlier throughout this book really show that Erikson understood that what we're reading a lot of the time in this book is just like really, really terrible, and he wants to give us a little palate cleanser to remind us that the world isn't going up in flames everywhere. And finally, I just wanted to share the one of the scenes that made me cry in the final chapter. Anytime Itkovian had a scene, I was just truly a puddle. But the one moment that impacted me the most, I think, was Itkovian's second to last scene, I believe, when he finally takes in the Talanimas's sorrow. Memories gone. In their wake, tens of thousands of souls. Silent. To me, then, I will take your pain now. You are mortal. I am mortal. You cannot carry our pain. I can. You cannot deliver it. I shall. Itkovian, your pain, Talanimas. Now. It rose before him, a wave of immeasurable height, rose, towering, then plunged towards him. And they saw, one and all. They saw Itkovian's welcoming smile. I'm just like crying all over again reading that now. I don't even really know how to express my feelings about it. Itkovian is just one of the most incredible characters that I have ever read, and this final act of taking the pain of literally thousands and thousands of souls because it is the quote-unquote right thing to do, it's just so moving. And we really just have to keep moving on before I start fully sobbing. Reach out to us. Let us know what your favorite moments of this final book were, or any of the book. Our next episode will be the mailbag episode, so please send us your questions, comments, favorite Krupp parts, least favorite Calor parts, anything. You can DM us on Twitter at 10verybigbooks, or you can email us 10verybigbooks@gmail.com, or you can join our community Discord and leave your thoughts there. If you'd like to join the Discord, you can head on over to bit.ly/TVBB Discord. That's capital V, capital B, capital B, capital D Discord. Discord. The link will be in the show notes. And as always, thank you so very much to Dan Gesrick for making our spectacular logo. You can follow him on Twitter at Dan Gesrick for the hottest YouTube free trial takes. And of course, the wonderful music in today's episode is by the one and only Amaranthin from their album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with their other music on bandcamp.com. Links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 Very Big Books will be back in 2 weeks on May 29th with our Memories of Ice mailbag show. We'll be collecting your thoughts until around the 22nd, so you have a whole week to think of something if you're listening to this the day that it comes out. Tweet us, email us, Discord message us, whatever you want to do. We'll talk to you then, and thank you so much for listening.
Where are we?
Is that it? Was that your beat?
No, fuck off. Fuck off, mate. All right.
Just call me mate.
Yeah, I did.